Yeah, look at that. I'm giving you some salutes. I'm giving you some from this side, too. Welcome to the show. A double salute from me. This is the Weekly Spinner Rack, and I am your host, Chris. If it's your first time, welcome to a show all about comics. And if you're returning, also welcome to a show about comics. Anyway, yes, we will be talking about the latest comic book news and the latest comics that came out. Wow, pretty different ends of the spectrum from the stuff that I read. Which one did I prefer? The answer may not surprise you. I tried something and it didn't pay off. The moral is never try. Folks, it is so good to see you. Welcome to the show. And by the way, I'll just give myself a little plug. There is a new episode of Comic Tropes up on my other channel, Comic Tropes, and it is about Dan Mora. Specifically, I'm taking a look at his art techniques and breaking into the industry, his storytelling techniques, through the lens of looking at his work 10 years ago on the book Klaus with Grant Morrison. So appreciate it if you have time to check that out. Before we get started with the news, let's give some shout outs to folks here in the chat while we let people filter in. Welcome, welcome. Look at that. A thumbs up and a wave. Thank you. Two salutes. Absolutely. Any luck finding that Jaws manga? Best joke I've heard all day. I haven't had any time to look for that. I have just been working, fighting burnout. Is that a dab? All right, Chuck, I'll dab. Do people still even do that? Hey, look at that. The traditional $2 donation from Steve. We are Baja Blasting, a good way to start the week. I hope that this helps everybody start the week. We're going to talk about comics, something that we all love. Hello. These are some wonderful familiar names, but also a couple new names. I like that. Tropes Nation. There you go. Yeah, because we all like comics. This is awesome. No need for V for Vendetta with the last 10 years of drama. We'll talk about that later. I'm just having some fun with the thumbnail, trying to get some new people to check things out. But it'll be fun to talk about. It'll be fun. Oh, cool. You're reading Invincible. Oh, that's true. I did do some fan art in the early issues. Yeah, like issue 1 or 2, I think I have some art. I have a page. I forgot about that. Thank you for watching. Thank you. It's a fun shirt, right? Yeah. I'm memeing. What else have we got? Anybody else? Great episode. That's so nice of you. A bunch of people saying that. If it's your first time, you have to fight. Yes, Fight Club. I loved that movie. I read the movie first, then I read all of Chuck Palahniuk's books because I liked it so much. And even then, it took me a few years to realize that Fight Club was a metaphor for being gay and having trouble letting your inner self out and sharing that with the world. It took me quite a while to pick up on what's a pretty obvious metaphor, but it took me a while to figure that out. I just thought it was, about a crazy guy who started a fight club. It's about a little bit more than that, Christopher, but I was younger when I read that. All right. Is there anything else? I don't think I have anything else for just sort of business. I promoted Comic Tropes, greeted all of you, and let's just go ahead and get into the news of the week.
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Put an ad on the front page. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Hi guys, this is April O'Neil from Channel 6 News, and I am here in beautiful New York City.
All right, we're going to have fun tonight. I make that as a solemn vow to you. A promise, if you will, for a good show. One of those rare good shows that I do every once in a while. All right, let's see. First up, haven't talked about Diamond in a while. Going to focus more on the positive side of things. We're going to talk about Diamond UK. Now, Diamond UK has always been a profitable entity, but was owned under the same umbrella as Diamond. it was just the distribution company for Europe. And now they're themselves. Let me acknowledge this super chat. Ayo, burnout is real. Yeah, I face it every minute. If you ever need to take a break, do so. Mental health matters, and we all want Happy Chris as a host for Tropes After Dark. You know what? Fair concern. And it's like, yeah, you have to be mentally healthy to do a good job on the shows. At the same time, if you take too long to make an episode, the algorithm buries you, and it takes a lot more work to climb back up to where you even were to begin with. So I'm sort of fighting that right now because I slowed my output down and I need to speed it back up. So, because honestly, I also need to make money, you know? So thanks for the super chat. That helps a lot. So yeah, I've heard about some of these comic books. All right, so let's talk about this. Diamond UK, like I just said, distribution arm for the old US comic distributor, but their management bought themselves. So Diamond UK exists as its own entity. Good for them. Profitable division continues to exist. Same leadership. I like that. Here's how it happened, though. This is a little interesting that we just learned. They purchased themselves for $2 million US. That included a loan for 1.39 million pounds through the government growth scheme. Scheme almost has a negative connotation, but it's a legit new program from the British government designed to help small businesses. I was very proud of both episodes, so I'm glad that you enjoyed them. That makes me very happy. That makes me really feel good. Thank you. Hey, it's my sister. Always nice to see you, Jeans. She just got some new kittens. Anyway, so this program, the Government Growth Scheme, was actually launched really recently, July. And the idea behind it is that smaller businesses, and by that we just mean not massive businesses like, I don't know, Walmart or something like that. They're trying to, the government is trying to help those businesses grow. And they do that because they'll back a bank loan for them up to 70% when they're approved through the program. In other words, if that business fails, the bank gets to recoup 70% from the government. So it's the government, they have to approve it, but it's nice. It's another form of backing to encourage the growth of small business. And small business is the beating heart of capitalism, because those are the companies that invest their money right away into the economy. The money turns over fast. It's really good for growth. It's good for local jobs. Really, really positive. Peter, I'm something of a growth schema myself. Fire me, will they? I'll just get a growth loan. The deal managed to save 60 jobs based out of the Diamond UK's Cheshire warehouse, and it helps keep tariff costs lower than if stores were trying to import the comics themselves directly from the US, because if it's done in bulk, you can sort of spread those costs out, and the local stores in the UK pay a lot less. So anyway, just a positive story. The government helped out. Diamond UK has always done a good job. I'm just happy that, the UK continues to get to distribute a lot of US comics. They distribute for Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom, Mad Cave, the big publishers. So yeah. No, they didn't need that much to buy themselves out and just sort of continue to exist as an entity. I wouldn't be privy to all the details of how that works. I just feel like it seems to me like a positive story. Profitable entity gets to continue to exist without any sort of weird overhead or any negative connotations associated with the original parent company, keeps jobs. Seems like a win-win. It really does. All right. Moving on, I've got something sort of in the same vein for distribution. Dynamite signed with a new distributor this week. Let's see. So they signed a non-exclusive distribution partnership with Universal Distribution. Now, this fascinates me. Because previously, Dynamite had been using Universal for their Canadian distribution of comics. Universal used to be exclusively Canadian comic book distribution, but they're making inroads into the US after Diamond went through their bankruptcy. So to start with, they now service a bunch of US specialty shops and hobby shops. I don't know how many comic book stores they work with at this point, but I know that they do work with those two entities to get comics, distributed here in the US. So Universal's making inroads to that. Dynamite, to be clear, still also has a relationship with Lunar. So that's why it's non-exclusive. They just they work with two entities right now. Dynamite's books that get distributed through Universal, that's going to happen beginning with the new year, so January. And Universal is also already distributing books for DC. That happened back in September. So again, a non-exclusive. DC has their own, distribution as well. But just kind of a nice positive because I think competition is good. Obviously, a bunch of our problems happened when there was really just one game in town. Oh, good question, Pasta Gene, regarding the last story of Diamond UK, because Diamond UK used to service all of Europe. I believe they still will, but I didn't see any new details about how that would work. Yeah, Jack and Lily are mine, and Jeannie has Kismet and Cairo with a K from the Greek word kairos. So similar meanings. Cute names. Hey, Zachary Levi is open to returning to Shazam. I bet he is. This happened in the news this week. Shazam actor Zachary Levi was interviewed by Feature First, and they asked if he'd be willing to play Shazam again in James Gunn's new DCU movies. Levi said he loved playing the superhero and added, "So yeah, if James and the powers that be said, we'd love to bring you back as Shazam, or if there were some other DC character." Now, here's my take. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to return as a superhero. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea, but I think he could always play a super villain. We could call him Box Office Poison. You see what I did there? A little bit of Norm Macdonald with that joke. Yeah, he said he wanted to return. He'd love to play any superhero they've got, because I guess that those Christian movies that are distributed to like a couple hundred theaters, not paying the bills. You know what? The first one wasn't too bad, actually. The first Shazam was a pretty fun movie. I will give it that. I'm not going to just crap all over the movie. The second one was pretty bad, in my opinion. Pretty bad. Instead, they're going to cast, you guessed it, Frank Stallone. Is Frank Stallone still with us? I don't know. I think he is. All right. Moving on. You got the joke. We've got our villain confirmed for Superman 2, and it's who we all suspected. I mean, James Gunn hinted at it pretty damn strongly, but this week, The Wrap, that's an official Hollywood publication, industry publication, they confirmed what we suspected. Brainiac is going to be the villain of the Superman movie sequel, and it's going to feature Superman and Lex having to team up against a bigger threat to humanity. It is not going to be Inspector Henderson, Superman's longtime ally. Production on this film is actually starting this coming April, so pretty soon. The plan is to have it in theaters July 9th, 2027. Related stuff. Frank Grillo. He played Rick Flag Sr. in both Superman and the recent season of Peacemaker. and he posted to Instagram that he's going to have a big part in this. So reading between the lines, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the technology that Rick Flag sort of stole from Peacemaker could lead to contact with Brainiac, who is technically an alien. And that would not be good. Brainiac is a fantastic Superman villain, by the way. I kind of got that out. Fantastic villain. I think, if I'm remembering right, he was co-created by Otto Binder, who did a lot of great stuff for Superman in the 50s. But Brainiac's always been cool. I grew up knowing the Brainiac version from the 80s, where he was a skull-faced robot, not like the green-skinned alien. But all things considered, that was a relatively brief iteration of the character. It's still just a really cool character, though. And it's never been in any of the movies. So I can't believe they haven't used him yet. I would imagine that somehow the Bottle City of Kandor will factor in, or at least get mentioned. Brainiac 5. Yes, Brill Docks. Brill Docks. I think Kandor would really fit with the tone of what we know from the first movie. I like it. Yeah, Superman the Animated Series, the AI version that was formerly sort of the computer that ran Krypton. That was a really cool version of Brainiac as well. But I like the classic cyborg version from the planet Kolu. He's good. He's good. Yes, thank you. It's a great show. I did it. Nice to see you. Let's see. What else? Today, Hollywood insider Daniel Rickman had posted that the film is looking to cast an actress for this movie in her 20s. The only requirement they listed is that she needs to be very tall. Now, of course, that simple description set lots of people speculating that Wonder Woman would feature on some level. I don't think that that's what they're going to do, since they kind of did that with the last version of the DCU. I think that they'll let Wonder Woman debut in her own movie, to be honest. I don't think that they'll cameo her in this. What I do think could be possible is I really feel like they have subtly woven in technology into the new DCU that's based on New Gods technology, and I wouldn't be surprised for a small role for Big Barda. I know that that's definitely a totally out of nowhere speculation, but I feel like that's a character that would be pretty cool to introduce in a small way and potentially have grow into a bigger role. But again, I'm really basing that on nothing. I think that Big Barda and the New Gods, I think the New Gods will sort of be an important part, because they're calling this sort of first phase Gods and Monsters. And I really do think that Peacemaker, he had technology where he could go to other dimensions, but I felt like that technology was really close to what a boom tube is, the sort of way that they teleport, the New Gods teleport between worlds. And I don't know. I just think that they could be laying the groundwork for the New Gods to factor in. It's just a guess. Oh, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that thought that. Thank you. Kristen Shaw as Big Barda. Kristen Shaw is pretty funny. High five. Thank you, Mike. You're the best. Thank you for all the support, Mike, and the kind words that you give me behind the scenes. You're just the best. Thank you. Right. They're working on a Mr. Miracle TV show. And they're also working on a Wonder Woman script for her own movie. So I sort of feel like they'd keep Wonder Woman her own thing, but with the New Gods, it's a big cast. So I feel like that would be easier to weave in one or two of those characters and then give them their own project later. I don't know. Who is the tallest heroine villain in DC? Giganta. Right? I mean, it's got to be Giganta when she grows. Wonder Woman's villain. Other than that, I sincerely think Big Barda is the tallest just person, we'll say. I think that the last I heard was that writer Anna Noguera is developing a script for a Wonder Woman movie. And James Gunn's big thing has been that he doesn't want to push forward any movies until they have a script that they love. So they're not super concerned about saying like, it'll be this chapter, this chapter, this chapter. They're just going to seed ideas and pay them off when it feels appropriate, but they're going to have like a rock solid script first. I hope that they continue with that idea. That's the thing, like that's in the back of my mind too. Warner Brothers is, seeking somebody to buy it. And obviously a new owner could just decide we want to start over again. Now, I think that would be a very bad idea since they just sort of restarted it. I think that would really hurt the brand, but we'll see. We'll see. There was a really cool couple issues. The newest Birds of Prey series by Kelly Thompson, who also writes the Absolute Wonder Woman book. Big Barda was part of that team in the first arc, and they did go up against Wonder Woman briefly because the team was stealing something from Themyscira. And even Big Barda was like, I could probably take Wonder Woman, but I have no desire to do that if at all possible because she's dangerous. And I loved the respect for Wonder Woman in that arc. That was really, really cool. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. But so far I've enjoyed what they've given us. And I would like to see it get a few more years under its feet. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Moving on. Let's talk about what I have in the thumbnail. V for Vendetta, the TV show. Now, keep in mind, they almost adapted a bunch of V for Vendetta in the Pennyworth TV show, the show about Batman's butler when he was a young man, because they were subtly weaving in the idea of a fascist England, like a threat, and they could have made that what's it called? I think Northfire, if I'm remembering my V for Vendetta, which I love the comic, but I have to admit I haven't read it for a minute. But I think Northfire was the name of the party, the political party that takes over the UK in the near future and is like the big threat. And they wanted to have Alfred Pennyworth maybe team up with V for Vendetta. Northfire. What was I saying? Was I saying Northfire? I meant Northfire. Thank you. Hey, Stepan, thank you for joining. Thank you. Anyway, so let's talk about this. The Variety reports that, Warner Brothers is definitely developing a V for Vendetta into an HBO TV series. James Gunn and Peter Safran would be producers. They're in charge of the DCU stuff, and this is owned by DC. They said that Pete Jackson was writing, and I had to look that up because it wasn't Peter Jackson. It was a guy named Pete Jackson. Hasn't done a lot yet, but he did write the show that came out this year called The Death of Bunny Monroe. And I knew about that because of two things. One, it's based on a book written by Nick Cave of The Bad Seeds. Kind of cool. And it starred Matt Smith. And I do think Matt Smith is a pretty exciting and dynamic actor, not just because I'm a Doctor Who nerd. I think Matt Smith is like legit, really a chameleon. When he's better than a lot of the material that he's done. He's better than Morbius. But anyway, so Pete Jackson wrote that show. I haven't seen it yet, though. That I will say that I haven't read it yet. If you don't know, V for Vendetta did begin as a British publication in Warrior magazine, which was an anthology comic book, all the way back in 1982. Alan Moore writing, illustrated by the great David Lloyd. But they didn't quite finish it. DC later picked it up, reprinted it, added color, finished it. That was 88. I don't completely disagree. I thought it was an interesting take, fairly loyal, a little too abbreviated and a little too actiony for my tastes because I really like the book. maybe as good as you could do for a movie at the time. I don't know. Anyway, I love the book. I love the book. It's fantastic. It's not subtle, okay? It's not subtle. It's a very young Alan Moore, and he's just putting his ideas out there. You know, V is an anarchist, and he's kind of justified because there's no subtlety about it. Like it's a version of England that is flat out fascist and dangerous and bad. And an anarchist is a pretty easy hero in the story. So there's not a lot of subtlety there. I think that the Alan Moore of today, if he was writing it, would probably layer in some deeper meanings and makes even the character of V even more morally gray. But that's just me. You know, it was a reaction, a very, very normal reaction at the time to the deeply unpopular Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, that is a bit of a change. You're right. He is more of trying to inspire a revolution in the movie versus in the comic, his only goal is really just taking down the corruption. And the next steps can be for somebody else. If you haven't read it. By the way, I went ahead and put a link in the description because I like this comic so much for DC's Compact Comics edition. You really should read it. And for $10, it's a fantastic deal. Fantastic comic for $10. Let's see, rereading it's always going to be relevant somewhere. It really will. I think it might be my favorite of Moore's too, although I do have a lot to say about Watchmen. Probably I'll do that pretty soon on Comic Tropes. I actually have stuff to say about Watchmen. Yeah, but I agree. I agree with you. It's a really good thing. So, okay, let me reset slightly. The news is that they're developing it into a TV show. Alan Moore has pretty famously never really enjoyed any of the adaptations of his works. He feels that he wrote it for a specific medium, and I would pretty much agree. I still don't think you could really do Watchmen in another medium as well as it is done in comics. V for Vendetta, I'm probably going to surprise people here. First of all, I think that Alan Moore should have the rights to this, and this shouldn't happen without him. But that's a separate issue. There's nothing we can do about that. DC has the rights. They're going to keep reprinting it. They're going to keep the rights. Alan Moore's not going to like it. And that's too bad. It's not right, but it's what it is. But as a story, I love it. As a comic, I love it. The art and the story and the character, I really, really enjoy it. If it was going to be adapted, if honestly almost any Alan Moore project was going to be adapted, well, let me backtrack slightly. First of all, a bunch of his superhero stuff like Superman can and has been adapted well. In fact, I think he did say that he did not dislike the Justice League or Superman animated series adaptation of For the Man Who Has Everything. I think he said he did like that one okay. And I don't blame him. That works very well. TV could give V for Vendetta the room to breathe it needs, and there's one thing I think it might be able to do better than in a comic. Let me acknowledge this. I'm not sure I'm convinced it's a fantastic idea, but I don't think it's a bad idea. I'll say this. There was one sequence in the comics that was completely cut out of the movie, which some of it is for time. There's a sequence where V, who's kind of insane, just to be clear, stages an entire cabaret. Okay, it's called, I think, The Violent Cabaret is the name of that sequence. He's got mannequins all dressed up in his, lair, and he's playing a song that he wrote, and it's this really long song that Alan Moore wrote for the book. Well, the one thing I would argue that comics can't quite do perfectly is represent actual music, right? I mean, they can refer to it and they can hint at it, and you could have supplementary material to listen to while you're reading a comic, but it in and of itself is not designed to give audio. I don't mind that it doesn't have moving pictures. I don't mind that part. I think it has the best of visual. I think it has the best of reading, but it can't do oral. And I would love to see that represented, to be honest. And I think a TV show could dedicate a big chunk of time to doing that as a production number. And it would just be so over the top in a way that really does highlight V's eccentricity and madness. I think it's a great sequence in the comic that I would like to see represented in live action. The violent cabaret as a musical number. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that. But I did give it some thought, and I was like, with the right people, I'm not going to just get on board right away. I want to see who's acting and stuff. But yeah, there's been Dazzler and Nightcat, and sometimes Rick Remender has put a playlist of the stuff that he listens to when he's writing a comic so that you could listen to it. And it's interesting visually when you weave in music that's playing through a scene, but it's not the same as experiencing it. It's not. You are imagining something, and I give it plenty of credit for that. I loved. I think it was 2 years ago. Kyle Higgins and some friends wrote some comics called Deep Cuts, and it was all about the history of jazz in America with fictional characters. It's beautiful. It was a beautiful representation, but I would love to hear some of that too. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the overall. The Rock as V, and he doesn't wear the mask. Finally, V has come back to the UK. And he gives the people's elbow to Northfire at the end. Yes, absolutely a great idea. I mean, I think he's on a roll. He's on a run, folks. We've got the Smashing Machine. We've got live action Moana. We've got The Rock as V. I think that's just the trifecta everybody wants. And yeah, and V would beat Superman clean. Superman, the Henry Cavill version, would come in for one scene to lose clean to The Rock as V. That's in his contract. Chris Pratt is probably what's more likely, but yeah. Anyway, I think I liked the movie version. I didn't love it because I do think that they actioned it up a little bit more than was necessary. V is enhanced on some level. Something was done to him, and he should be a very capable fighter in some regards, but I didn't ever get the sense reading the comic that he should sort of be a kung fu master. I just didn't quite get that out of the comic. All right, what else have I got for news? Oh, this was a huge surprise. Marvel and DC surprised us with more crossover comics that actually came out this week. They hadn't announced it or anything. They were just we're each releasing one. They each released one. So Marvel Unlimited subscribers got a Thor Shazam story that's by writer Al Ewing, artist Jethro Morales, cover artist Martin Coccolo. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. I butchered that. Coccolo. I like the idea of two lightning-based superheroes, and they also each have alter egos, right? Billy Batson and Donald Blake. Now, Thor doesn't use Donald Blake all the time, but sometimes. I think that's an interesting dichotomy to play with. I didn't read it. I'm just saying that's a cool idea. And then DC Universe Infinite, so each of their digital platforms, to be clear. DC got the Flash Fantastic Four, which I wouldn't have guessed at, but it makes a little bit of a sense. Writer Jeremy Adams, he's written a bunch of Flash. Artist Adrian Gutierrez. And it involves the Fantastic Four and the Flash going through the time stream, through time and space, to stop Gorilla Grodd from mentally controlling people. And I was like, okay, that's getting sci-fi enough, going through time and space. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Thor and Shazam, in a way, have like some godly stuff. I don't know. I was like, that's not bad. That's not bad. Between the two, I think that the Thor Shazam one interests me a little bit more. But I like that they surprised us and that they each sort of put out on their own platform a crossover like this. It's more like I look at that more like bonus content. Not that you need it, but if you were subscribed to either one of these, I think that's a pretty strong bonus. That's a pretty strong thing to give people. Both stories, to be clear, are presented vertical scrolling. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's what I do when I read like WEBTOON or something, right? Boop, 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 boop. Bing bong, bing bong. Beautiful. We love the vertical scrolling, don't we? Who wants to do this? We love vertical scrolling, don't we, folks? All right. So thought I'd put that on people's radar in case you were giving any thought to subscribing, or if you already were and you didn't know, an extra comic. Not bad. Not bad. Greg Capullo has obviously been doing some Marvel stuff lately. And this week he hinted strongly with this at a Spider-Man project. Back in November, he first posted like a super thin, light version of this. He posted that to Twitter. And so I didn't know what that could have been. You know, that could have been anything. But he posted this more fleshed out version this week on Instagram. I mean, obviously Spider-Man could be a guest star in something, but I think it implies he's doing some sort of Spider-Man project. Most of Greg Capullo's social media posts are lately about his creator-owned comic, Creech. He's doing Creech 3, and he's at the point where he's now inking it. He also posts a good amount of photos of him working out, which all the respect in the world to. That is only going to extend his career beyond what most artists have. But he's been fitting in between Creech. He's been doing some of these Marvel projects, Wolverine Revenge, and Deadpool Batman. Pretty big projects that basically I think he couldn't say no to. But now we've gotten a hint of this Spider-Man thing. Just to be clear, nothing official announced. I guess theoretically he could just be drawing this for fun, but I think it implies that Greg Capullo could be doing some sort of a Spider-Man project. And I guess I put this in there because DC has been really beating Marvel this year. One of the few bright spots Marvel has had, in my opinion, has been access to a top-tier artist like Greg Capullo. They have some great artists. They do. And they have some great writers. But I feel like so many of their comics right now at Marvel are more editorial mandated, like reboots and team-ups. And it just isn't giving me... Maybe I'd say that maybe it's me, that I'm too old and I've aged out of superheroes. But I'm pretty excited by a lot of the DC stuff these days. And I do enjoy some things at Marvel. I enjoy a bunch of their Ultimate books. The Ultimates, Ultimate X-Men. Those are really good books that I'm enjoying. So that's interesting. The Spidey Superman crossover. I suppose that's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel locked him down for something like this. Would they have known that all the way back in November? I guess they would have. Yeah, I guess they would have. Yeah, he does. He does. Fantastic Four. Yes. And I will say, one of the best books that I read this week was Fantastic Four. That is probably my personal... Well, The Ultimates is probably my overall favorite Marvel book right now, and this might be my second favorite of everything that Marvel's making. Yeah. I do love it. I do love it. Good point. It's not like bad, but it's not as good as a lot of what other publishers are putting out. It just doesn't, I don't know, just doesn't feel exciting to me right now. I'm glad you're reading it. It really is fun because it's so many single issue, one and done, great story, great pacing, great pacing. Yeah, I'm so glad a bunch of you are reading it. Let's see. I'm in the same place with DC Marvel. I used to poo-poo the frequent reboots at DC, but at this point I love it. All In and Absolute have been great. And I'm really excited about DC Next Level with guys like Scotty Young and Jorge Corona on Lobo. James Herron probably on the Demon. Like, these are great ideas. Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. A lot of this stuff gets set up way in advance. My next DC book comes out end of next year, and we arranged it early this year. I'm not super surprised by that. I'm not. Excited to see what you'll be doing. I feel like it's been a minute since I saw you on a DC monthly book, but that's exciting news. Hey, Erwin, thanks for joining us. Absolute is fantastic, but I don't want to poo-poo the Ultimate line. Ultimate line has been rock solid. I've got two favorites, but it's been really, really good. It's been a while since we've had Deathstroke as the lead of a book where he can truly be a mercenary. There's a lot of good ideas coming out of DC. You know what? I think it was Frank Miller whose advice for like making an impact in comics. I'm pretty sure Frank Miller said this or something like this. I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't know an exact quote. But he said, take a nothing book. You know, like if you get an opportunity to do a book at Marvel or DC, take one that like nobody has like played with in a while or is doing badly, because you'll be given free reign to do your own take on it, and people will respond, you know, to that like passion of that you'll have. Anyway, moving forward. Speaking of like relaunches and such, Marvel is relaunching Daredevil. It's what they do these days. They announced this week a new creative team. So the book is starting March 18th with a new issue number 1. Worth noting that Born Again Season 2 debuts March 4th. So they're tying in a relaunch with a new creative team. I think that does indicate a certain amount of confidence that they have in this team to tie it in at the same time as, like, you know, a pretty big show for them. Stephanie Phillips, she's currently the writer of Planet She-Hulk. She's going to write Daredevil, art by Lee Garbett. And I looked it up because all of a sudden it got me thinking. And apparently, as far as monthly goes, Stephanie is only the second woman to ever write for Daredevil after Ann Nesenti. And Ann Nesenti had to follow Frank Miller's acclaimed run. Big shoes to fill. And she went in a totally different direction. And her run is delightfully bonkers. You have things like Daredevil battling Ultron, Daredevil battling Mephisto, and is drawn by John Romita Jr. at what I consider one of his creative heights. It is a blast. Every issue is just something totally different. Weird subplots, like stuff with like homeless kids and stuff with supernatural and robots. It's just bonkers. Anyway, but yeah, apparently, while there's been other women that have worked on the title for, like, you know, I know Erica Schultz did a mini series as the ongoing monthly writer. Apparently Stephanie would only be the second. I was surprised with that. I was surprised. Here's Marvel's log line for it. Matt will go back to school, taking on a new role as a law professor, just as new supervillain named Omen emerges with a mysterious vendetta against his superhero alter ego. That's an interesting idea to me, having Matt be a law professor. I like the idea of superheroes as teachers. I really it didn't last that long, but there was an era where Peter Parker was a high school teacher. I like that. I was surprised at how brief it was. I think I find it very interesting and exciting seeing, if they can't be students, at least be like in that environment with younger people and still have to make the silly excuses like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. It's an interesting pick. Tate Bromball, huh? Yeah, I'm sure they do a good job. Yeah, that's right. John Romita Jr. with Al Williamson, who does such fine lines for like his hatching and stuff. Like, it was a really good fit together. Really good fit. Wait, what's this? He's going to walk into his first class wearing the I'm Not Daredevil Christmas sweater. I really wish that there was a superhero that was bad at coming up with excuses for why they had to suddenly leave. It was like always something embarrassing because they're not good at thinking, or the same excuse every time. Oh, my stomach. Oh, time to save the world. They just don't think about how that makes them look because they're all just concerned with like getting out of that situation, getting to save some people. Oh yeah, Mark Wade. Look, there have been a lot of good errors on Daredevil and a few kind of crummy ones, to be fair as well. Oh no, my balls are twisted again. I gotta you guys know, me and my balls. Let me go get this fixed at the school nurse. I will be back in 45 minutes. Let's see. Marvel is also going to have their second ever blind bag promotion. Although I have to say, how can you not do a blind bag for Daredevil? That kind of feels like you're leaving money on the table if you don't try it with this one character. They're going to have a bunch of covers. I'm not listing them all, but they've got like a foil variant by Ryan Stegman. They've got Joe Quesada, obviously a super important part of Daredevil's history with the Marvel Knights line. Dan Panosian doing great stuff. Daniel Warren Johnson, always good. A Sal Buscema piece of art. Wow. I don't know if that's new or old. They just said Sal Buscema. I'd hope it's something new. They're going to have some sort of a TV variant cover, a Marvel Rivals variant cover. Okay, fair enough. Blind bag. You got to do it. Wouldn't Typhoid Mary have been the storyline in season 4 of Daredevil before Disney? No, they used Typhoid Mary in Jessica Jones. So they've already used her. But yeah. Yeah, Daredevil would have touch so sensitive that he could feel through that like poly bag and go like, oh, this line art. Daniel Warren Johnson. I'll get this one. Wait, she was in Iron Fist? Am I misremembering? She was in Iron Fist? Why did I think it was Jessica Jones? No, she was in Jessica Jones. I think I'm right. It's hard to remember. I mean, that was like 10 years ago, wasn't it? The Netflix shows. I don't know. Marvel's teasing Shadows of Tomorrow. That's way more creative weight than it deserved. They're teasing Shadows of Tomorrow. What is it? That's the name for the next X-Men era. Every era needs a name, right? Good branding. It's going to come after their current event series. So to be clear, this isn't an event. That's just the name that they're giving to the next era. But they are doing an event right now, Age of Revelation. Shadows of Tomorrow is going to start in February. So what is it? Cyclops is going to return to the present with visions from 10 years in the future where one of the X-Men has ravaged the world. They've released the X virus and they've eliminated a lot of free will, shades of dark side. And that's going to kick off the event. So, it sounds like another riff on Days of Future Past, which I would argue Marvel is, the X-Men has kind of probably done a few too many times for me. they've got the future with Bishop, the future with Rachel Summers, the future with Cable, technically the same. They merge those together. We've got, the apocalyptic futures of what else has been an apocalyptic future world with an X-Men story. I know there's been others. I don't know. I feel like they've done it a few too many times, especially when you consider Days of Future Past was just 2 issues of X-Men. A great story, but it didn't need to be an era or an event. It was just 2 good issues. The goal, though, with this is to unite the flagship X titles, as well as the revamped solo titles. Storm and Cyclops, for instance, both have solo titles. Magic and Colossus is going to be a book. Brand new series from, their top creators that they can grab. They've got some new ongoing titles that they're adding. Generation X-23. It's fine as a title, but what was wrong with Laura Kinney Wolverine? And Wade Wilson Deadpool. Fine. And then there's a still unannounced series from exceptional X-Men writer Eve Ewing. So, good luck. Age of Apocalypse was basically a dark future. You're right. Oh, and I was also thinking of the one with Ahab. It was done across a series of annuals in maybe the late 90s. Yeah. Let's see. That's not the villain character that showed up a bunch in X-Force with the wings, is it? Dragon Lady or something? It might be, Mike. I was looking at it and I didn't recognize the character. I was like, is that supposed to be Marina? Namor's past wife, Marina. She was part of Alpha Flight. I was like, did they mutate her and give her wings? It kind of looks like Marina, but no. I bet your guess of Dragon Lady is better. House of M is basically another look at a dystopian world for the X-Men, yeah. Well, you say it was all right. I think that those 2 issues are pretty fantastic, to be honest. I really liked them. I thought that it made both Robert Kelly and Mystique and her band of mutants good threats. Good threats. Some actors joined VisionQuest. So actress Lauren Moraes, she's pretty young. She hasn't been in tons of stuff, but she joined the upcoming Disney Plus VisionQuest TV show. She's going to play Lisa Molinari. And it's said that she's going to have some sort of close connection to Tommy Shepard, Speed, one of Vision's sons. He's going to be part of the show. If you don't know, Lisa is also known as Coat of Arms in the comics. She's got 6 arms, basically like Spiral. Diane Morgan. A bunch of you might know her because she plays Philomena Kunk. Pretty funny character. She's going to join the show as some sort of an associate of the mercenary Paladin. There's a deep cut for a Marvel character, but Paladin is going to be on the show, played by Todd Stashwick, which does make sense when you realize that the showrunner is Terry Matalas, who had Todd Stashwick play a pretty important role in his show, Picard Season 3. I don't know if we'll get more Wiccan in this, but I bet that they're definitely setting up Young Avengers. They got to use them, though. They got to use them. I see what you're doing there. But I don't think it was Kevin Bacon. Wasn't VisionQuest Matthew Modine? Wasn't VisionQuest the 80s movie with Matthew Modine? Not Kevin Bacon? I could be wrong. But that's what I was thinking. The show is also going to feature, and we sort of already knew this, but Ultron, Jocasta, and the AIs that we've seen in the MCU before. Jarvis, Friday, and Edith. Okay, I was right. It is Matthew Modine that was in VisionQuest. Yeah, VisionQuest was the one where it was like the high school wrestler that wanted to go up a weight class, and he ends up falling in love with this girl that's like a year or 2 older than him that's like passing through town. Might distract him from becoming a great, high school wrestler. Oh, and you know what? That might have been the first movie, VisionQuest, that Madonna appeared in, because she played she was in a bar scene in VisionQuest, doing a song, maybe Crazy for You or something like that. Boy. Yeah, VisionQuest. Boy, sorry, that's what you tune in for me to remember things that have nothing to do with comics. But it was called VisionQuest. Oh my God. Yeah, they filmed it in Spokane. That's right. Let's see. You'd think a VisionQuest would be a Daredevil arc. Joke of the night? Better than box office poison for Zachary Levi? I think that's the joke of the night. Kudos, Mike. It's such a good song. Not gonna lie. Madonna in the 1980s, I love her music. I love it. All right. Moving forward, though. We've talked about the controversy going on behind the scenes with Angoulême. Well, it went nuclear this week because, boy, I'll just break it down like this, and then I'll add some supplementary stuff. But boy, oh boy. So Angoulême is also the name of a big international comics festival. It's humongous, takes over a whole town. Humongous. Dwarfs stuff like, New York Comic Con and San Diego Con. Lots of people involved. But the organization that owns it, FIBD, okay, just remember that name. FIBD owns it, and they've had a management company actually organize the event, and that's called 9E Art Plus. Weird name, I know, but whatever. 9E Art Plus, they made some dramatic concessions this week on Thursday, including the immediate, they're calling it retirement, but basically the dude was fired. Deeply unpopular boss, Frank Bondo. He was the boss of 9E Art Plus. I'll explain why he was so unpopular, but boy, oh boy. This is a huge, huge story, and I'm just trying to digest make it as quick as I can, but it is a big story. So for tons of artists and publishers, all sorts of industry professionals were saying they were going to absolutely boycott this festival because the organization did nothing to address the issues that were being presented in front of it. 9E Art Plus has all sorts of controversy. There's allegations of money mismanagement. There's allegations of not treating creators well. And probably the most damning, the one that people are most up in arms about, one of their employees, a female employee, was fired after she reported that she was assaulted at the 2024 event. Rather than investigate it or anything like that, they fired her. So that's why Frank Bondo is deeply unpopular. And people were saying right off the bat, well, you fired her. This is like, it became a big news story. People said that they were going to boycott it. And in response, FIBD said, here's what we'll do. We'll have a bunch of people present themselves as the new operators along with 9E Art. But this week, they selected 9E Art. And people were like, you didn't change anything. You didn't do anything. So that led to an emergency meeting between authors, publishers, financial partners, and the mayor of Angoulême. So the government got involved, folks. Xavier Bonifant got involved too, because this is a huge piece of Angoulême's economy if they don't have this festival. And lots of people were ready to say, nope, I'm not going. They said that Bondo's removal, not enough. 9E Art still in charge? No, that doesn't fix anything. So conversations still ongoing. This is very much in development right now. But the goal here, I think, from the people protesting the hardest, is that they want the 9E Art Plus contract to end. Right now, 9E Art Plus has the contract to run this festival through 2027. And they're like, no, you got to end it early. These people have not done a good job. Get them out of there. And they want the FIBD president, Delphine Gros. They want her to step down because, you know, she didn't really push hard for any big changes. She just let this all happen. I also have always wanted to go to Angoulême. And if they make the changes, okay. Yeah, I have, like, everybody's ready to boycott it. And this would be disastrous for the town's economy. So the mayor's putting pressure on them. They're like, hey, you know, you want us to cooperate and provide you with like venues and promotion and probably like tax incentives or something like that. You got to change the management and make this right. You got to start fresh. No, they didn't apologize. They didn't compensate the victim. It's like they just want to pretend like, oh, yeah, well, sorry you felt that way, but we'll keep doing things. No, that's terrible. I think they've got a Corto Maltese statue, but do they have a Tintin one? I know they do in Belgium. I don't know if they have a Tintin statue. Maybe. I don't know what FIBD stands for now that I think of it. I'm sorry. I should have looked it up at some point, but I guess I just got used to seeing it and I never checked it. Anyway, I hope it happens for, you know, all the innocent people that would be hurt here. You know, the townspeople and local businesses, the comic book creators. You want the comic shops and the comic creators to have this venue, and it's a big decision for them to decide to boycott that, because that's, you know, that hurts. It hurts not to be able to promote yourself at such a big event. But people are taking a very united stand, and it's kind of impressive how many people, like anybody you can think of, all sorts of previous winners of, you know, like their Grand Prix awards, they're all saying like, no, I'm not going. It's impressive. And we'll see. I bet in the next week or two, we'll see some follow-up on this, because they got to get this figured out pretty soon. Redcoat is in development. I've talked to, Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. Big fan of Brian Hitch. I really like Redcoat. I think it's a very fun story. I like historical dramas. Plus, the main character's kind of funny and roguish. He's a great character. Simon Pure, the titular Redcoat himself. Well, it's got a movie in development. Deadline broke this news that a group called Atlas Entertainment and Ghost Machine, who is the group of artists and writers that make Redcoat and connected comics, they made a deal. There's going to be a feature film adaptation, and that's the comic, as I said, by Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. Sorry, I think I misspelled Jeff Johns' name. I spelled it the Jeff Darrow way. Whoops. The film is actually going to be written by Johns. He's done some Hollywood work before, so it makes sense that they would have him do the first draft at least. And it is based on a story by Johns and Brian Hitch. I would imagine based on the first arc, if I had to guess. Yeah, good for them, right? I hope it pays off very well for Brian Hitch. He works very hard. I like his work. Let's see. So, Redcoat, if you haven't read it, I'm just trying to boil it down to its absolute basics. It's about a British deserter during the American Revolutionary War, and he accidentally becomes immortal. There's the founding fathers are casting a spell to make somebody immortal. Simon Pure stumbles into the way. Essentially, he becomes immortal, and which means he has to face his nature. He's got tons of time to improve himself, and he needs a lot of improvement. He's, at the end of the day, a bit of a coward, a bit of an opportunist. yeah, he's got his appetites, and he's not especially skilled at anything initially, but he's given a lot of time to get better. And what's fun is they take him through history, and he bumps into real life people, kind of like you get with a Forrest Gump type of story. But he also bumps into other, fictional characters. And the story arcs jump back and forth in time. Kind of like Highlander, the TV show. Yes, before he got into comics, Jeff Johns went to film school and got a job working for Richard Donner's company. And I think at some point that he met some people from DC that were doing something with Donner, and got his opportunity. Let's see. Ghost Machine has been saying story by and listing the writer and artist. So hopefully that means the artist is paid more for stuff like this. That was when I interviewed them, they described it that is very much Ghost Machine's goal, even more than, say, if you do a creator-owned book at Image, and they use Image to publish these things, you own the rights. But they're saying that with Ghost Machine, everybody shares the rights and the profits on a more equal basis. So I believe the artists and the colorists and the letterers all get some sort of percentage of these things, which of course I think would motivate you to do some of your best work, because this could be a bigger payday than just the comics. And I hope that it's a good adaptation if this moves forward, because you would like to see the creators rewarded. The only guy who used movies as a stepping stone for comics. And then he sort of went back and forth. But yeah. Yes, we've got The Rock playing Simon Pure, the Englishman from what, the 1600s. He beats Superman clean. He beats Shazam clean. No interference. He beats Vin Diesel clean. I would be stunned if they didn't. Brian Hitch has done a bunch of concept art for movies and TV. He pretty famously designed, or redesigned, I should say, the TARDIS for Doctor Who when it was rebooted. Tom Hardy. Well, hey, I would see anything with Tom Hardy. That said, you got to at least consider Charlie Hunnam, because I think it's pretty obvious that Brian Hitch has him in mind when he's drawing Simon Pure. He's got, the guy from Pacific Rim, Sons of Anarchy, etc. I think he's got him in mind. I like Redcoat. I would love more people to discover the comic if it was a good movie. And I think it would be a movie that would be easier to make than a typical superhero movie, even though it's got fantastic elements. It's got action and adventure, but it doesn't all have to be cosmic with lasers and people flying and stuff like that. Slightly more grounded. Todd McFarlane is a genius when it comes to marketing. I just got to say. So he's got some covers that are going to highlight a crossover event that he's doing in his Spawn books. It's going to build up as I talk about this, okay? So over the past year, there's been a crossover between King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and The Scorched. And it culminates in issue 50 of The Scorched. That's what's coming up next. To celebrate, Todd McFarlane is drawing the third of his 50-50-50 program covers, and I'm going to explain what that is. But he previously, of course, drew ones for King Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn, and this is what he did for The Scorched. Among the variants, there's a black and white inked version at a ratio of 1 to 250, so stores can order one copy for every 250 copies they order of the book. And Todd will sign that book with a CGC certifier. like actually sign the book, like not printed signature, like actually sign the book. And he says that he won't sign these books at future Comic-Cons. So that's what makes this signature even more special. At least I wouldn't be surprised if he would be willing to, like, say, sign the inside cover or something like that, but he won't sign the outside cover. I bet that he's doing something like that. Just a guess. But here's where it gets crazy. There's the even more rare 1 in 1,000 pencil sketch variant. And I'm not saying that that's an original pencil sketch. I'm saying they'll print the original pencil sketch that he had at a ratio of, you have to order 1,000 copies to order one copy of the pencil sketch variant, which is also signed. But here's what you get with that. 50 of those will randomly include sketches by McFarlane. And once those orders are placed, the sketches will also be provided by other Spawn Universe artists too. Jonathan Glapian, Carlo Barberi, Brett Booth, Steven Segovia, Jason Sean Alexander. I mean, to get 1,000 copies, I imagine you either have maybe like a slightly bigger chain like Midtown Comics can do that. Otherwise, I think you have to just have a bunch of comic book stores band together, because 1,000 copies is a lot of copies to sell. I don't know. I do worry a little bit with super rare variants and blind bags. It's kind of funny. We had a news article about a month or so ago where Todd was saying, like, I don't feel the need to do blind bags. My books sell fine, and I'm not sure about the long-term viability of that. But then he is doing something that's a little similar, designed to pump up those orders at the comic book store level. Wow. Well, maybe they didn't. They said there could be some others that were mixed in there. So maybe. I don't know if Jeff Campbell designed that version. I know that is Jessica Priest, who was retconned in the Spawn comics to be the person that killed Spawn instead of Chapel from Youngblood. And then she eventually dies and becomes a Spawn character. So I like the idea that she's a character that's going for redemption. She was a flat out villain. I did get the new Youngblood, and I've got stuff to say about it in a little bit. I'll keep it there. I'll talk about it as soon as I can get to it. Moving forward, we've got some more news. The Russo brothers are joining another comic book movie. Now, the Russo brothers, of course, famously directed Captain America 2 and 3, as well as Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and now are coming back to do Doomsday and Secret Wars. But I'm pretty sure they also produced... Didn't they produce the ones with Chris Hemsworth, where he just plays like a mercenary on an adventure in India? I don't know. They've done other stuff. Hey, TV-wise, their stuff's awesome. They directed some of the best episodes of Community and Arrested Development. That was what they did to, Oh, that's right. They did Deadly Class. Deadly Class, super underrated. Too bad it only got a single season. Yeah, Deadly Class is really good. Anyway, so, the upcoming Bad Idea comic, The Ordained, it was already in the news. We talked about it because at NYCC, John Wick creator, writer of the movie, Derek Kolstad, he's also doing a Bad Idea comic, and he announced that he already bought the rights to adapt The Ordained into a movie before it even hit shelves. He was like, oh, it's such a good idea. I bought the rights right away. Okay. So this week it was announced that Colin Farrell will star in the movie, and it's going to be produced by Joe and Anthony Russo. Extraction. Yeah, did they work on Extraction? I feel like they did. I could be wrong. I think they did. That definitely is... Not definitely. That's probably the reason why they went back to Marvel. The Electric State, pretty bad. Anyway, The comic comes out in December 10th, so it isn't out yet, just to be clear, folks. It's by writer Robert Venditti and artist Trevor Hairsine, colorist Dave Stewart. Premise: Farrell stars as Father Roy Craig, a priest who performs last rites on a mob boss who then miraculously survives. He's already confessed his crimes to the father because he thought he was going to die and he wants to go to heaven. Well, now Father Roy finds himself targeted by hitmen, corrupt cops, and gangsters, all sent by the mob boss who want to silence him, of course. But Father Roy secretly has a violent past that makes him a more dangerous target than anyone imagines. Luckily for his adversaries, he does follow the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." Yeah. It sounds like a fun premise. I am not at all surprised that it is becoming a movie that fast. It is a little funny that it's already got producers and a star attached to it before the book even came out. It's like, what is this? Cowboys and aliens? The less said about that, the better. A little like History of Violence, I suppose. Maybe a little pulpier, yeah. Jason Statham should play this. Well, Colin Farrell will. Colin Farrell's good, though. He's such a good actor. He's such a good actor. Moving on. Just wanted to talk about that briefly. WEBTOON has teamed up with Warner Brothers this week. So WEBTOON and Warner Brothers announced a partnership. They're going to adapt 10 online comic series from WEBTOON into animated films designed for global distribution. So this isn't designed for, say, like direct-to-video or streaming or anything. No, they're trying to make actual animated movies based on some of these books. So they announced the first 4 that they have planned, and then they'll figure out. But they signed a deal to do 10. They've got 4 already planned. Yes, I remember that. In fact, I can do a perfect impression. I kick ass for the Lord. Great role. Here's the first 4. I've never read any of these, but maybe some of you have seen them. We've got the Stellar Swordmaster, the so-called Lighthouse of the North, the prosperous trading town of Shora, hides a dark underbelly, seedy slums ruled by 5 ruthless crime bosses. When streetwise orphan Vlad finds the brothel he worked for decimated by a disgraced knight, he turns to the path of the blade, pledging himself to the pursuit of power by sword. Okay. We've got Hardcore Leveling Warrior. Known as Hardcore Leveling Warrior, Ethan is the #1 player of the world's biggest game, Lucid Adventure. But when a mysterious player kills Ethan and forces his character back to level 1, he will do anything to get back on top. New friends and old foes, as well as mysterious forces and his own dark past. How dark a past can you have when you dedicate that much time to video games? They will follow Ethan as he does his best to take back what was once his. I could definitely see this generation relating to that idea. Down to Earth by Pookie Senpai. Something tells me that might not be a real name, though. I could be wrong. Cade lives his average life alone and undisturbed until a cute alien girl crashes into his backyard. By opening up his home, will this otherworldly girl inadvertently open up his heart? Probably. And we've got Elfin Warrior. A young half-elf discovers the challenges and gray areas involved in being a hero as he travels with his uncle's band of miscreants and outlaws. Sure. Yeah, the dark past is a Cheetos addiction, exactly. That's interesting that you've read that one. Yeah. That's that. Let's keep going. Folks, it is still illegal to sell comic books in Sacramento, California. For now, anyway. Yeah, it legit is illegal. Sacramento, California has had a law on their books since 1949, And to do the math, that means 76 years. 76 years it has been illegal to sell comics to anyone under age 18. What? There's a little more nuance, but not much. The law bans the sale of comic books to minors with, quote, prominently featured account of crime, which I would think would be most comics. That would include any scenes with arson, burglary, murder, torture, mayhem, and assault with caustic chemicals. Oh my God. What? Obviously, the city ordinance is not enforced, but it is still on the books if someone wanted to be a jerk. So there's a petition to remove this law, and that was enacted by comic creator Eben Burgoon. He does a book called B Squared. The proposal to remove the law was then put forward by city council members Phil Pluckabaum and Katie Maple, guessing. The petition in front of the city council, if it's passed, would also designate the third week of September as Sacramento Comic Week. So definitely a reverse. I wouldn't say it's due explicitly to the Comics Code Authority, but it's definitely stemming from the same root causes. 1949. Definitely an era of the Red Scare. Definitely the era that, people started complaining that comics could cause delinquency, and Sacramento put a law on its books to make it illegal to sell comics to anyone under 18 that basically involves crime, which is basically any book. Yeah, it's definitely that kind of a thing where it's like, it's illegal to walk around with an ice cream cone in your pocket. And, because there are towns and cities that have these crazy laws that end up on the books. They're never enforced, but they are on the books. So, theoretically, I guess it could be a problem for somebody someday. They got to get it off the books. So stupid. So dumb. But that definitely was a bit of a surprise for me that Sacramento has a law like that. Yeah, I think that you need to do that in private. I don't think that it's a safe place to do it on Main Street. You're going to get those nails in the street. Anybody could step on those. Now I can get you arrested, John. Yes, anybody that does a crime comic should not be selling it there. Obviously has happened a lot. I think if we track it down, I think the statistic right now is 90% of criminals in the U.S. did read a comic book in Sacramento, California. So that is definitely where the crime is coming from. If we can cut it off at the source, finally we can have a peaceful country. Finally. Just an amusing one I wanted to share. So that was in the news. I got the screenshot from CBS and watched that. And I was like, wow. I hope, and I don't imagine it won't pass, but I hope it passes through city council real soon. The Rocketeer is returning, and what's cool about this upcoming Rocketeer story is it was an unused story by its original creator. So specifically, the Rocketeer is going to have a mini-series published by IDW called The Island. And the story originally was an unused one by Dave Stevens, the guy who created The Rocketeer, and he sadly passed away back in 2008. The story, set in 1938, Cliff Secord, a.k.a. The Rocketeer, returns, they mean it to the stories, to save Amelia Earhart in a search and rescue mission set on a mysterious island that is full of surprises. It's written by John Layman. It's got art by Jacob Edgar, KJ Diaz. Comes out February 25th. So, if you haven't read a Rocketeer miniseries in a while, but you love the character, kind of a nice way to honor its creator. I like that. I would like to see a Rocketeer movie too, because that first movie is really, really fun. That is a good movie. It's not quite like a perfect adaptation, but it gets all the big elements of it. It definitely does. Yeah, Rocketeer, Captain America would be cool. I don't know what rights Disney specifically has, though, because Disney did do the movie, and I think that they did like a kids animated show more recently, so they may have some partial rights, but they definitely don't have the full comic book rights on any level. So I don't know exactly who that lies with now that I think of it. Just fun. Oh, and I included 2 covers because this one on the left is by the art team on the book, and this one on the right is a Dave Stevens piece of art back from 1984. If you don't know, The Rocketeer was something he started publishing back in 82, as long as I'm remembering correctly. If it wasn't 82, it was close to that. 82. But that makes sense because I think that the movie came out in like around 91 or something, so it had been in development for a little while. So yeah. Rocketeer is really cool. It's great. Jack Kirby and other comic book luminaries are going to join the Museum of Narrative Art. What's this museum? You may have heard rumblings of it. Oh, thanks for confirming. All right. This is really cool. So, George Lucas and his wife, Melody Hobson, are going to open this, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. That's going to open September 22nd of 2026. I want to check this place out so bad. Located in Los Angeles' Exposition Park, the building will have 35 galleries occupying more than 100,000 square feet and more than 40,000 pieces of original narrative art. Very cool. And narrative art means that they're getting stuff from movies and TV and stuff like that, but that also includes comic books. So, most relevant to us, it's going to have art by Jack Kirby, Frank Frazetta. It'll have this specific piece, Princess of Mars. Winsor McKay. Oh my God, talk about an influential, golden age, pre-golden age creator. Alison Bechdel and Chris Ware got some, and I said Ralph, I guess I meant Roger Crumb. So they've got some indie cred there, among other comics artists. So I just love that. George Lucas has never made a secret of being a fan of comics. Didn't exactly execute Howard the Duck to perfection, but at least he tried. And I do believe in his sincerity of love for it. I've also, found that he's pretty generous with his money for charities and art and stuff like that. I think he said that he does not plan to leave his children all of his money. He's going to donate a massive amount to it, to charity when he passes away, and leave them with enough to take care of themselves. But I don't think that they're getting billions. Who wants to compete with Jay Leno there? George Lucas is like, whoa, Jay, I don't want no trouble. I see you in that Canadian tuxedo of all denim, top to bottom. I don't want no trouble, Jay.
I got the biggest museum of vintage cars in the world. This George Lucas, if he comes after me, I'm gonna mess him up.
Oh, please, no. All I want to do is talk about narrative art. Well, there is a review here on this channel by Jimmy Jams, Jim Mafood, and me. We do review both Howard the Duck and Swamp Thing in one episode of Trash Movie Bonanza. When? A year ago? Is that good? Yes, nailed them.
George Lucas, I hear you like some vintage cars. I don't think you have as many as me.
The Baja Blast must flow. Can't wait for your 10 comics. My 10 comics? You mean end of the year top 10? Anyway. When Steve wins the lottery, I think that Steve Sorensen will open up in Syracuse, somewhere up in northern New York. He's going to open up a Mountain Dew museum, I think. I don't watch that show. I didn't know that. That's funny. I didn't know that. All right, moving on. Last piece of news is that this nonfiction comic might become a play. So, comic author Joe Sacco, really respect him. He basically does, I'll call them sort of journalism comics. They're nonfiction. Well, he does a bunch of stuff, but he mostly does, like, he travels and he draws that into an account of what he sees and experiences. And sometimes I guess it's been also stories that he hasn't himself experienced all of, but a lot of his books are that way. Not all. Hey, a water park. Thank you for the super chat, Steve. That's great. Look at that. Upstate New York Baja Blast Water Park. Top 10 comics of 2025. That'll be a tough one, but I will put one together. So anyway, Joe Sacco, he was at Thought Bubble in the UK. That's their big Comic-Con. Well, not the big Comic-Con, but one of their big Comic-Cons. This past weekend, he was promoting his new comic, The Once and Future Riot. And that's about a huge riot in India between some different castes. While he was at the while at the convention, he did a panel, and he was asked if he could ever see any of his nonfiction comics turned into an adaptation for a movie or TV show. And he actually said he could not see that. You know, it's too real. It's too dark, and you know, I think he was worried about sort of exploiting, you know, maybe people's tragedy and stuff like that for entertainment as compared to like relaying the story. And I'm interpreting a little there, but I think that's what he's talking about. However, he did say that he's currently developing a play based on his 1992 comic Palestine. And if you haven't read it, it's pretty interesting. Obviously, still relevant today. It was about a 2-month period that he stayed and visited Palestine, Gaza, and the West Bank from 91 through 92. And it was occupied at that point. Pretty interesting, like talking to the actual people that lived there. You know, it's an authentic account of what people thought and how they lived. So pretty damn interesting. And yeah, that would be interesting to do it as a play. Might be a more respectful way to treat the material. And I could see how it would work because, you know, a lot of the story, if you haven't read Palestine, is him having conversations with people, you know, in their apartments or at cafes and stuff like that, which I think you could actually turn into a play pretty easily. Yeah. Anyway, something worth looking into. I agree. I also couldn't read it in one sitting. It's pretty serious material. Yeah, it's a lot of interviews, but it is good reading. It you know, it gives you a point of view. I'm not saying that it's, you know, it's going to educate you completely on an issue, but it's a point of view. It's a series of point of views filtered through Joe Sacco's point of view. But I do think it's interesting. It's a legit good read, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's a good comic. There was one thing I saw this week that I thought was cool, an upcoming thing I'm interested in. Oh, let me acknowledge this. As always, a good show. This is my last, is that Krona? After this month comic run. Well, thank you for the support. I do appreciate that very, very much. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought I'd put this on people's radar. So what is this? You've probably seen him here in the chat room from time to time, but Stepan Shayich's book, Sunstone. Sunstone was a webcomic, maybe back in like 2011, if I'm remembering right. And then it got published as a book through Top Cow /Image. Well, Top Cow is putting out an art of book for Sunstone, and it features the characters Lisa and Allie and their relationship. If you don't know, yes, it's about, light BDSM, like kink culture, like one's a sub and one's a dom, but then they start realizing that they have like real affections for each other. It's actually quite sweet if you haven't looked at it before. And so there's the link. That's an upcoming Kickstarter. I think we can all agree that Stepan's art is pretty beautiful stuff. If you haven't been following his Instagram, he's been painting like a 3D statue of one of his characters. And I don't know whether he designed that 3D model and like 3D printed it or anything. I don't know that. I've just seen him painting it, and it really looks like his style. It's amazing. Anyway, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily quite as kinky as you might worry. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful art if you've never looked it up. So thought I'd put that on people's radar. So yeah, that's what's incredible is honestly, like, these characters have such believable expressions, but it's heightened, isn't it? I mean, like, these are like real poses, but they're like pushed a little bit. The lighting and stuff. I mean, his coloring is really something special. If 50 Shades was good. Yes, exactly right. Exactly. I just thought I'd put that on people's radar if it's your thing. And yeah, has done some beautiful work. I'm going to now shift it up to, let me think. Yeah, I guess it's time to get into comic reviews, because I do want to talk to you guys about some of this stuff, like Youngblood and Fantastic Four. There's a few that I read this week that I loved, and a few this week that I read that I just did not get into, and I wanted to. But give me a moment to set up my camera. Folks, it is time for the review segment.
Let's review.
Review it.
The review.
The reviews are in. I repeat, the reviews are in.
Go to your reviews.
What? Speaking of bad reviews.
Don't worry about that review.
Let's review all the facts.
All right, gentlemen, let's review.
Before we do, let's review.
Those reviews really came out fast.
Maybe we can review some right now?
I'm not going to review all that again.
Now let's review.
Not my worst review.
Let's review, shall we? To review.
I think I've reviewed about as much as I can.
All right. Thank you for your patience while I set up another camera. And let me add that. There we go. So, I tell you what. Shout out in the... Let me show you a few of the things that I picked up this week. And then you can type in which one I should discuss with you first. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about, actually, now that I look at it, like all of them in great detail. But I've got stuff to say for sure about Beneath the Trees, Fantastic Four, Youngblood, Transformers, Redcoat, Blood and Thunder. I could talk a little bit about Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. I could definitely, just to be clear, I could definitely talk about the Predator Badlands prequel. So... all right, that's a super chat. That I think that I gotta wait some votes towards that maybe we'll do Youngblood first. Anybody else got any? Okay, let's see. We've got another vote for Youngblood. Another, but badly. I assume you mean the movie, because I loved the movie. I think that, yeah. All right, tell you what. You know what? Let's do it. So, hey, first of all, I picked it up because there's a part of me that goes, I'll always be a little excited for Rob Liefeld, although, if I'm being honest, a lot of that is nostalgia, okay? That's just a fact. I don't know that I could, like, point to one of his runs and be like, this is fantastic because of XYZ. but some of it's fun. Some of it's fun. And I've picked up some of his stuff in recent years here and there to give it a shot. For instance, he did G.I. Joe. He did a Snake Eyes story. All right, well, hey, I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. I'll give Rob a try. That one wasn't so much for me. Youngblood, back at Image, back in Rob's control. And hey, there was a Daniel Warren Johnson variant cover. That's enough for me to give it a shot. Did I like this? No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm not here to slam Rob. I'm not. I get what's exciting and fun about this. There are a few panels in here where I go, that is kind of cool. That is pretty cool. That is fun. But here, I'll try to get into what I have a specific problem with. It becomes so surreal to try to read these stories because he just does not give me backgrounds or, a panel that establishes a scene well. Okay? For instance, this is a 2-page spread of Youngblood in a ship, a plane or jet coming up on a huge yacht. But there's just not enough information here for me on this yacht. Like, this to me just looks like a generic rich person's yacht. But as we'll soon discover, it's got, a supervillain on it with tons of henchmen, and supposedly they've shot down 2 things, which I can't really tell what they are. We've just got these little like sort of edges coming out of the water with some flame. Like what is this hatching here on the very front? Like, here, I'll zoom in a little, like, because I am legit confused by some of this. There, that's even closer, and I'll do this. Like, I sort of get this as like metallic, but I don't know that it should be that shiny, and that's nitpicking. This is nitpicking, so I'll move on. But like, what's this little bit of hatching here supposed to like give me for information? I don't know. Where are the weapons that shot these things down? Or any sort of like graphic design to show me, like, are there no like windows on this thing? Where's the actual bridge? Okay, and this is one of like the more detailed examples I can give you for a background. I'm going to zoom it back out a little. So anyway, okay, forget it. That's a little nitpicky. But, we're introduced to the team. Okay, I don't 100% understand where Badrock's anatomy is in this, but it's not that important. They're just sort of standing in this jet, and I'm like, are they in the hangar? Are they in the cockpit? Like, where are they? What is... And even then I'm going like, well, whatever. I guess it doesn't matter yet, okay? But they jump into action, and like this is establishing the team getting on the boat, and I was like, this is so minimalist. In a way, I respect how minimalist it is, but it really forces me to think this through and go like, what is happening here? I go, okay, so Badrock and Chapel are jumping into action. I'm not going to complain about the poses or anything. In fact, honestly, these are pretty cool poses. That's fine for a splash page, okay? That's fine. I have no issues with that, really. Not really. But then they get on like the bow of the ship, and like they're fighting guys, but like what is this piece? Like, where are they? Because now all of a sudden I've just got a panel here. This is the introduction to the main enemy. This tiny little panel here is what I get. Like, after this is a great intro for explaining who these characters are. This is good. But then I get over here and I'm like, who is this guy? I've never met him before. Where is he? Is he like right next to them? Is he like, 50 yards away commanding his troops? I don't know. It's so surreal. It's so surreal. Let's see. clearly waiting for the bus to take them somewhere. That it could be. It could be. And I'll just sort of continue with this, and it's like, okay, here's Die Hard, right? And he's going to go into battle against some bad guys, I guess. And we've got a close up on like these sort of rifles shooting, but I don't know where they're shooting from. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think that I'm getting nitpicky now, because there's no background to anywhere on this whole page. If it wasn't for the colorist adding some texture, I go, okay, well, that's a fine pinup. I'm not going to complain really about the pinup of Die Hard, but as far as storytelling, I'm utterly confused. I'm utterly confused. And look at this page. There's no real background to tell me where they are. And I could be nitpicking like how costumes change a little bit, or how, these generic henchmen have sort of different outfits on different pages, but that doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. Not that much. But like, now I've got a fist fight with Badrock fighting this bad guy, and I just don't know where they are. Like, look at this. Like, there's no backgrounds to any of these pages. What is this? Like, again, no backgrounds for page after page after page. And I don't think every panel needs a background or an elaborate background. I am of the opinion that generally you need one per page. Just give me a relationship between like where things are coming from, or how far apart they are. Let me know if there's any important props or anything. And plus, it helps vary up the shots, like you can come up with some dynamic angles. And I'm not talking about the character design. I'm not talking about any of that. I don't want to like nitpick stuff that's been talked about a million times. It's just that, like, look at this page after page, no background. And I just don't know what's happening at a certain point. Yeah, I get it. They're fighting. Where are they fighting? Like, where'd this guy come from? Here's a completely new character. Did he come from? Where'd he come from? It becomes so confusing and surreal. It becomes almost humorous at a certain point how surreal it is, because I just have these characters jumping through the air and just like they all seem sort of weightless, like there's. If I'm going to be a jerk, I go like, okay, well, where is say the horizon line on here? Because we've almost got the foot almost here, right? And then this guy's up here. So this is about the horizon line, but that doesn't really work for Shaft, does it? Because, his butt's got to be down here. So where's the horizon line? Maybe it works. I don't know. There's nothing done with perspectives here. And sometimes like the poses just become so surreal that I don't understand what's happening. Like, is Badrock like locked into a stiff pose and this guy's just picking him up? Is he throwing him? I don't think he's throwing him. He throws him over here and it's much more obvious. In fact, I'd say that this is good gesture for Life Out. Like I go, okay, yeah, he's dragging Badrock and he throws him. And I go, yeah, that's pretty good gesture. I get it. Came from the battle bus from Fortnite. Yeah, this probably sold 30 to 50 times my upcoming book, so I can't ever shit talk him, because this does something for people. He's good at marketing, and let me find some stuff that like maybe looks cooler, because I want to give credit where it's due. Okay, this is a cool panel. That's dynamic. You've got like and why is that dynamic? It's not full like flat profile. It's like a 3/4 turn. We've got like a little of the shoulder as a foreground, and we've got like somebody turning. That's dramatic. I like that. Like I look at that and I go, this is solid. So he can do some cool stuff here and there, can't he? Yeah. But it just all becomes so surreal to me. I heard that basically he did a bunch of this book as sort of a like a replacement for Youngblood when he didn't have the rights to Youngblood, and then he retroactively changed it to become a Youngblood book. Because if you look at this, he's shared this panel before of art, and this character has like a blue outfit, and like the mask is much more of like a headgear piece around here as compared to previous panels. It's a fairly subtle difference, but I don't know. There's some panels where it just looks like it could be spandex, and some where it looks more like, some sort of solid headgear. But there is a page of this. It's at more of an angle, I guess. That's what it is. Like this almost forms sort of a diamond up here, whereas a lot of other times it's more flat across the brow. So you can find an example of this, like Liefeld shared it at some point, maybe years ago, where it's blue. Well, I mean, I hope it's not selling tons more than you guys book, because I sincerely, well, whatever, I'm not going to shit on Rob for being a good promoter, and like he's good at marketing, he's good at hype, and there are the occasional cool looking panels. Do I think that there's a problem with like this close up? No, this panel, it's good. Oh, sorry, I wasn't centering it. Like these are good. I say that defensively, like my voice rose, but I say it because I'm surprised, because he'll have like a cool panel like this, and then he'll have like panels that utterly confuse me, where like, okay, so Shaft is fighting some sort of goons. I have no idea where. And then this new character, this is his entrance. And I go like, what is happening here? Is he legit like jumping sort of straight left to right, or is Shaft sort of knocked down and he's scratching his back? But also, like, he scratches his back here, and it's implied that it's like bleeding. But then the next time we see him, Shaft actually has like arrows and a sword on his back. So, like, wouldn't that have shouldn't that be there to block some of these? That sort of panel to panel or page to page, I don't understand the logic. Wait, am I not showing it right? Yeah, no, there's his stuff on the back, and then here he's getting scratched across the back. But this is like the same scene. I don't know. Look, I've probably said too much because it's not really the story or anything like that, or the characters. The character design, fine. Yeah, character design's good. Where was that page that showed them all? Yeah, that's fair. These are good designs. These are good enough designs. But I don't understand everything about it. Like, I don't understand why some of these people why they have collars. I don't quite know I can understand the advantage of a pouch, or even like, a shoulder armor, but I don't quite understand what the thing around the neck is supposed to be. Is it like Rob might have an idea of that being an actual thing that I'm not thinking of? I don't know. Chapel is said to, like, from the dialogue, he says that he went into the ship to do something, like do some research, and Vogue stayed on the jet. Like, we get that from dialogue. Where's that page? Like, yeah, see, Chapel says he's inside the ship, and we get that with these sort of stone steps. That's the only background we get, as well as the colors, to indicate that he is inside. But if you colored this differently, like if you colored the background here, the sort of warmer hues that the sky is, I'd go, oh, that's just steps on the outside exterior of the boat somewhere. I don't know. So that essentially, I could break down my complaint to one thing, and that is the panel-to-panel storytelling feels vague and surreal. maybe that's his goal. Maybe he just didn't realize how many backgrounds he was skipping. I don't know. But if he doesn't want to draw backgrounds, I would think he'd have the budget to hire assistants like they do. A lot of manga artists will have people do nothing but backgrounds. And why not have somebody do that for you? In fact, can you imagine how cool something like this might look? His very open line art style. Hey, there's hatching and shadows, I know, but it's pretty open. And if you had a different artist giving you a very detailed background of a ship or a cabin or the ocean, some of these things, I think that would enhance the artwork. And I think that would be very, I think that would be money well spent. And that would get somebody like me to go and re-look at this. And I go, you know what? I got a good story out of it. I understood it better. So I feel it exactly. You'd get somebody like when Gerard did all the backgrounds or most of the backgrounds for Cerebus. I guess I've said what I need to say. I do like the cover here that Daniel Warren Johnson did. I think it shows that, Shaft doesn't necessarily have that different a costume from, Hawkeye or Green Arrow or anybody like that. But he can look cool. He can look very cool. And I even was trying to give Rob some credit for a couple of the panels. But those backgrounds is... Well, that's a good question, EJ. It does say Story Pencils Inks, and then it says color art by this guy, Juan Manuel Rodriguez. And I don't know exactly how much that that covers. But I think that Rob's writing, drawing, and inking it. All right. As long as I sort of kind of crapped on an issue, I'm going to bring another one up that I was pretty excited for that I wasn't super into. I loved the recent Predator Badlands movie. And I won't spoil anything about the movie here. This is a prequel comic, sort of an idea from the writer-director, Dan Trachtenberg, but actually, give credit where it's due, written by Ethan Sachs, who's done some pretty cool comics. Penciler Elvin Ching, very good artist. And it's about the actual Predator character, Deck, in this, sort of going on a... he's being sent on a mission, a rite of passage by his older, tougher brother. It involves going on an alien ship, and then the alien ship has all these, it has an AI to defend the people that are in cryo sleep, and it sends all sorts of things after him, like gas and insects and robots and stuff. And ultimately, Deck isn't really successful. I gotta say, I didn't learn anything in this that I didn't get out of the movie already. The movie perfectly sets up Deck's relationship with his brother and his father, as well as his underdog status and his skills within the first few minutes of the movie. I didn't get anything out of this, basically. I sort of breathed. I was excited for this. Yeah, so I wanted to like this. I don't think it's, to be clear, it's not bad. You can read this. You can tell what's happening panel to panel way more easily here. When it's necessary, yeah, I've got backgrounds establishing the scene and the setting and the vibe. So it's got that stuff. It's got some interesting little ideas. This is essentially sort of a robot to defend an alien culture. And that's cool. But I didn't feel like the story actually gave me anything. I thought that I was going to get learn some more about either something new about Deck's family or his history, maybe how he defended his brother or something like that. They hint at things like that in the movies. And I was kind of excited because I liked the movie so much, I was kind of excited to learn a little bit more about the main character. I thought I was going to get a little more context, and that maybe they didn't release this until the week after the movie so that it, it didn't spoil anything. And that probably is why they did it. But I didn't get a story out of this. That it doesn't amount to much. Doesn't amount to much. So I would say if you're a huge fan of the movie, you can skip this and you're not actually going to miss anything. It's not a disaster. It's not like it's put together bad. It just doesn't tell a meaningful story to me. That said, I do have a sketch of my own that I'll keep inking of Deck because I did like that character. Let me talk about some stuff that I did like a little bit more. I'll try to keep my review for Fantastic Four somewhat brief, but I do want to recommend it. And a lot of what I will recommend about it is that I get a complete story here. One of the things that Ryan North has been doing well is actually that he doesn't really do big subplots in this. He establishes the characters and their relationships and their statuses with each story so that it makes sense when you read the next story that might focus on only one or two members of the team or the family. But he's not setting up a subplot like, oh no, the puppet master has been gathering a lot of clay. That's going to be an issue down the road. Instead, he's very much giving us one and done mystery stories. And this one involves a heist that can't be explained. Now, Black Cat, famously like the best thief in Marvel Comics, has been blamed for stealing some jewels and possibly even killing a bank manager. Now, she swears up and down that she didn't do it, and she asks Sue Storm for her help and to get bailed out. And Sue Storm is actually very in character. She's like, she does not like Felicia Hardy. She's like, Felicia's a thief. She's manipulated people. I don't think she's treated my friend Spider-Man that well in the past. I don't like her. But she also kind of believes Felicia because she's like, well, the one thing I know about Felicia is she's actually a good thief. She wouldn't have been this sloppy. So like her story actually makes sense, which means there's probably something going on. And there is a dead person here. So maybe I'll investigate. And she does. She tries and it does such a good job like of Felicia telling her story. And we go into actual flashbacks so that we can see things from Felicia's perspective, which helps us go, okay, she's probably telling the truth. We can believe in this. We get a diagram of the layout of like, where's the vault? Where were the guards? Where are the stairs? So we know how it works. It's a very small area. Like, how did all this happen? Anyway, I'm just setting it up that it doesn't make any sense because like the people that work at the bank also can't explain things. And everybody's story, both the guards that worked at the bank and Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, say the whole thing only took 5 minutes. However, the security cameras from the floor above, the main floor of the bank, the vault is downstairs, show that they were gone for 15 minutes. So there's an unaccounted for 10 minutes. Now, are people getting their story a little wrong? Do people have like a way that they're not accounting for something? Has the footage been messed with? There's lots of things that could explain some of these little pieces that don't line up. It's a great little mystery, folks. It's great. It's so good. And it's just, it highlights Sue and to a slightly lesser extent, Ben Grimm, the Thing's wife, Alicia Masters. They're the only ones basically at home while the boys are on a fishing trip to the negative zone, which is just fun. So anyway, it involves Sue and Alicia trying to figure out this mystery and clear Felicia Hardy's name. Who would expect a Fantastic Four book to feature such a fantastic story about Black Cat? I didn't, but it's good. It's really good, folks. I'm trying not to give away the mystery and the twists to it, but what I like about it is that I get a full story and I get some really nice character work, and people do small changes throughout each issue. In this one, Sue is a little bit different at the end than she is at the beginning. And I won't go into the full details of what that is. It's fantastic. It really is. Is there anything else that I need to say about this? If you're not reading it, I really recommend the Ryan North written run on Fantastic Four. There's been a few different artists. He's been the consistent for the last few years. Facebook consumer privacy settlement payout came in. Have some cash. Wow. Congratulations on getting some settlement, but thank you for the support. Oh my God. I've just been working like a madman every day. I go to my day job and I come back and I just like stay up as late as I can working on the episodes. Doing this show is the fun thing for me. I carve out a little time of my day where I'm just going to talk off the cuff without a script about the comics that I read and riff on the news with you all. It's fun for me. It keeps me engaged in comics. This is what keeps my sanity. But thank you for the support, Mike. I think that 22 pages is more than enough to tell a really good self-contained story. And I'm not against 2 and 3 parters. There have been 1 or 2 two-parters in this Fantastic Four run, but it's always justified. And I feel like I'm getting a juicy story with a beginning, a middle, and end. It's almost always some sort of a sci-fi mystery. I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the best things Marvel's putting out these days. The Doombot Town one was good. That was an early one in the run too. It's a lot to set up, but it doesn't feel rushed. It feels really well balanced, really well paced. Yeah, I think comics for a long time used to be rushed. If I'm going back to the Golden Age, even going into a little bit of the Silver Age, almost every comic was an anthology. And they might not always be 8 pages. Sometimes you might get 12 pages or so. But in other words, you had to really go through a story very quick. It was at a brisk pace. And eventually, they got the full issue and you could expand things out just a little room to breathe. But I do think that, about 20 years ago, people started writing for trade paperbacks, which you got to understand was a little bit new. There were no trade paperback collections up through the 80s. That was something that started happening in the middle of the 90s, basically, trade paperback collections. But people started writing for it. And instead of coming up with a story and being like, how can I tell this story in 1 issue or 2 issues? They were like, well, how do I make this 6 parts or 5 parts anyway? It's tricky. And I think the decompressed style can work quite well. Decompressed being a story told over that kind of timeline. But I love a one and done story. I do. And Fantastic Four is one of the best ones right now doing that. That's a serialized book. It's ongoing, but it's going to give you a full story every issue. Oh, thank you. Street Angel is a blast. Jim Rugg is incredible. The other thing that I really did think was pretty fantastic this week was the latest issue of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring. I've talked before about how impressed I was with how it moved the story forward into the early 90s, the early days of the internet and chat forums, and how that exchange of information actually makes the world close in on our main character serial killer, Sam, who hides in plain sight, lives in a suburban area, acts normal, occasionally sneaks away, kills people. Got sort of a Dexter story, a cat and mouse thing with people closing in. But I like that. And it's best exemplified, this new world, through looking for a good panel to show her off. Monica. Monica is this duck character whose brother went missing years ago. We, the reader, know that Sam did kill her brother. She has been looking on internet forums, and when Sam figured that out, she's lured Monica in. But here's the thing. She hasn't just killed Monica. There's something more insidious. Instead, she pretends to be a friend that's like trying to help, going like, yeah, there was some weird stuff that happened in this town years ago. You should go into this house. It plays into what happened in the original story where there was a copycat killer, okay, that wanted to be like Sam. And she sends Monica into the house to like look for the materials that this guy would have hidden there. And she knows how that will like probably lead to something bad happening. And Monica, sure enough, like, you know, sneaks in and eventually gets found removing a box from one of the rooms. But they think that she's putting it in there. Like what are you doing to our house? She pretended to be like a home inspector. So that's how she got access to the house. But she's lying. And it leads to a small confrontation, and the father of the house ends up falling down the stairs and getting really hurt. Is he dead? How seriously is he hurt? We don't know, because Monica runs for it. And that's exactly what Sam wanted to happen. She's now using other people as pawns to sort of get her satisfaction of people getting hurt. And she's doing it in such a clever way, like, you know, pretending to be somebody's friend. It's devastating. It's devastating. He definitely does, because it's definitely saying something about how the world starts to feel smaller the more it is grown into the modern day. And that's shown through a couple things. Yes, the internet has made our world smaller by the sharing of information, and that closes the walls around Sam a little. But we get it as a direct visual metaphor when there are big business stores building themselves up, cutting the woods down in the area, and it's encouraging wildlife to come into town. You know, bears were in like a previous issue. Very, very clever. I wouldn't have expected the first story showing us, you know, Sam the serial killer. I wouldn't have expected it to have a follow-up that just couldn't do anything other than the same exact thing. You know, she again has like somebody getting close and she figures her way out of it. No, instead, this is about how the world has changed. And it's really, it's disturbing. It's disturbing. I will be curious to see how they use Sam in DCKO, because if you didn't know, Sam the serial killer is going to be used in DC's current big event where the superheroes and supervillains of the world are fighting each other and killing each other to gather Omega energy in an attempt to take down Darkseid. We're going to have Joker going up against Annabelle, the killer doll. We're going to have Superman going up against Homelander from The Boys. I don't know which DC superhero is going to go up against Sam, but one of them is going to do that. Just to be clear, though, those are sort of taking place in like pocket dimensions in the DC stories. It doesn't affect, it's not like it's taking place in these comics. It's more just sort of like a parallel world or something. I don't know 100 Years in Solitude, I'm afraid. Is that a manga? It sounds a little familiar, but I haven't read it. Yeah, Superman versus Homelander is confirmed. I don't think that would be a very satisfying story. So I think that they're going to do something to even the playing field a little. But I would expect Superman will eventually, you know, beat him up. Yeah, they could have done that. And in a way, I kind of respect them for negotiating these deals with IDW and Dynamite to bring in like all sorts of other comic book characters that you would never expect to see cross the paths of superheroes. It's so wild. Yeah, Vampirella is going to be in there. Sub-Zero, which is, I think, a Warner Brothers property. But yeah, just weird. As far as stuff that was, you know, just fun this week, I think I've got a few of those. look, I will say that the Transformers run with Robert Kirkman writing is a bit of a different tonal vibe than the Daniel Warren Johnson run as writers go. However, I was very impressed with this issue, folks, because Robert absolutely kept building on some of the character development that Daniel started with. For instance, Thundercracker, the Decepticon, really wasn't comfortable with how the Decepticons were slaughtering humans because they don't stand a chance. You know, he wasn't too cool with that. But he was loyal to his brother, Skywarp, and he's gone to like rescue him. And at first, he is not listening to the Autobots who's saying, hey, we're trying to help Skywarp just get like fixed. The Decepticons, you know, tore him apart. We're actually okay with fixing him, and you guys can go do your own thing. And at first, Thundercracker wasn't listening, and I go, oh no. Did Robert just wipe out all that character development? I got to acknowledge this. Who could you beat in the DC universe? Power. I could beat Ambush Bug, and that's it. Here's what's great. Eventually, Optimus Prime steps into this squabble, and he remains the voice of reason in a clever, strong way. And I felt like it was completely in character for who Optimus Prime was, and he gets Thundercracker to listen and to stand down. And there are still some twists and turns to all of that, but let's just say that Thundercracker continues to evolve in an interesting way. He is not really aligned with the Decepticons anymore, and I'm really impressed with that. There's also some cool twists to the fact that they're working in G.I. Joe and Mask characters. I do not trust General Flag, who is allegedly, you know, working with the Autobots and stuff, but he's also allowed Miles Mayhem access to working with various like technology that like the Cybertronians have, and this fits in so well with what Mask does, because Mask has transforming vehicles, right? But it would transform not into a robot, but from like, say, I don't know, a car to a jet, right? And he's studying this stuff. He's been assigned as a director under General Flag, and he's given access to these scientists, and he's looking at Cybertronian technology and how it can transform. I strongly suspect that before he just maybe steals this technology and becomes whatever kind of a villain he is in Mask, I think he may create an evil version of Optimus Prime, because there have been, for instance, the toys have had Nemesis Prime, and I think that there's a chance that Miles Mayhem may create a version of something like that before he sort of steals all the technology for himself. But he's a horrible, horrible person. There's a little bit of character work still with Carly and Spike and Shredhead, which were very big Daniel Warren Johnson characters. There's changes with Cliff Jumper. So Robert hasn't abandoned any of the threads or the characters that Daniel Warren Johnson set up. What I was really cool with reading issue 26 was that he continued to play completely fair with who Thundercracker is, and Thundercracker is becoming a very interesting character to me. He's a gray character. Yeah, Mask, always had some sort of elements of both G.I. Joe and Transformers. So weaving it in here, smart. I feel bad. I didn't read hardly any of the IDW era of Transformers. I just, it was a blind spot. It was like a gap in when I cared about Transformers. But I've heard that there are some really good stories in there. I think one thing that the Energon universe is doing well is that they are introducing new characters at a slower rate than what I saw them do in IDW, because there's a lot of Transformers you could use. But I think that they're being pretty careful about not overwhelming us with too many new characters. I think that they're really doing it pretty slow, and I like that. That's true. I said Nemesis Prime, but for all we know, you're right. Motormaster is also a huge, cargo truck. So, man, I wonder, I guess Gem could fit. I don't know if they'd do that. I don't know. Inhumanoids. Yeah. There's a lot of Hasbro properties that they could potentially work in. I hope that they don't overdo it. For instance, like Visionaries. That's like a weird supernatural type of world with I would not really be down with that getting woven into this. But Mask fits. Mask fits quite well. EJ said he heard Infiltration was pretty good. If I had to bet, and I'm not a betting man, but if I had to bet, I might bet that EJ might have drawn that. He may have drawn that. I've heard that that's like one of the series that was. I did read basically the last sort of IDW story. What was it? Was it called Last Bot Standing? Which EJ drew, and I really liked that. That was an interesting good story. I like that. Is there anything else that I could get into for? Okay, you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit about Blood and Thunder. So I've really been enjoying this book. I like the sci-fi ideas. I like the world building. I like the humor. But there is one thing that is bothering me right now, and I feel bad because I love this book. But the main character, Blood, is a bounty hunter, and she has an AI talking gun, okay? That was her father's. He used to be basically a police officer. And here's the thing. Thunder is funny, but Thunder is a pacifist. And I'm starting to not understand why Blood would like Thunder, because she gets into trouble where she's going to get killed. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to make a lethal weapon for you. And I'm like, I get where the character's at, but I want an ally that thinks of creative solutions, not just throws up roadblocks. Because personally, I'm like, in this issue anyway, I found Thunder the Gun really obnoxious, and I didn't like him. And I was like, I want to like both of these characters, and I have up until now. But I want Thunder to go like, well, I won't create a bullet, but I'll create this, I don't know, net gun or something. Or, hey, I'm trying, but I can't. You're going to have to solve this one yourself, Blood. Okay, then I'll go with that. So I'm sorry. I really found that annoying in this issue. Like how her supposed best friend and ally isn't helping. But I like the rest of the story. I'm not trying to crap on this. This has incredible world building and weird mysteries and great alien cultures all interacting with each other in unique ways. So that was my only critique. The art is great. The dialogue is great. The world building is great. The pacing is fantastic. So I just had one problem with some of the character work, and maybe that is for part of a character arc. So I'm going to give a wide berth for Benito to write this and to show me where he wants it to go. But if you listen, Benito, I gotta say, in this issue, I found Thunder quite obnoxious with how he was just throwing up roadblocks for the character. And I want there to be a foil and a villain, but I don't want the ally to be the one throwing up roadblocks. It sort of goes back to I love horror movies, right? And even cheesy horror movies. And I hate it when in a horror movie, people go to say the police, and the police are like, I don't believe you. And I'm just like, that's just such an easy way to like throw up a roadblock for a character. I don't believe that. That sounds crazy. No, that's a great point. Like every planet, every culture, every bit of technology feels completely original. In this, Blood is on a snow planet for the first time in her life, with really interesting, essentially like, horses or camels or something, but alien. And she is staying with a robot who somehow, I guess, is pregnant with some sort of a creature. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird and different. I like that. It sounds like you're having trouble believing the relationship. Well, yeah, I am. I'm having trouble in this issue. I had trouble believing that Blood would like Thunder so much because Thunder's a dick. I don't know. I love how you stay true to your critical eye and you're not just a homer for the creative team. Well, look, I mean, I want these guys to succeed, and am I enjoying the book? Absolutely. I have no regrets spending my money. But I am going to share some of what I perceive as a valid criticism to share with the audience, and they can make up their own minds. Do I recommend it? Yeah, of course. I definitely recommend picking up Blood and Thunder. It's one of my favorite books right now. It sincerely is. I just had a problem in this issue with the relationship with the character. That's okay, though. I don't need every single book I read to be, 10 stars or 1 star. There's room. There's a scale, and I can still anything, 6 to 7 out of 10 stars, I'm enjoying quite a bit. I hope that makes sense. And I guess that's everything I had to give serious reviews to this week. But here, I'll do a little bit of inking and chat with all of you. Anything that you're reading that you especially recommend right now? I'm always curious to hear recommendations. And I've got other stuff that I can sort of update you on and talk about. I saw a new movie and I liked it, but I didn't love it. I went to see Running Man because I enjoy Stephen King. I think Glenn Powell is an interesting new actor. And I love Edgar Wright. But I will say that this is probably on the lower end of my Edgar Wright movies. It's not bad. Let me make that clear. It's not bad. It's in fact, it's quite entertaining. Quite entertaining. But it feels like tonally it shifts around a little. And I think that the trailer made me think it was just going to be wall-to-wall, bonkers action. And there are amazing action scenes in the new Running Man. But there's also a bunch of story, and the story and world building is good, but there might be a little too much of it, and it affects the pace if it's an action movie. I don't know. I liked it a lot. Unfortunately, it's bombing. I don't think it deserves to bomb. I think it was still very good, but I didn't absolutely love it, so I sort of get what happened. Yeah. Farrell was last week, I think, and it was really good. And I'm trying to be fair no matter what. Trust me, if I don't like it, I'll say it. I do like your book quite a bit, EJ. I am blown away by some of the stuff you're creating on a monthly basis, design-wise, because Benito is throwing at you all these new environments, new alien species, new robots, new technology, and you're envisioning all of it. So trust me, I'm impressed with your art, buddy. I really am. That's an interesting idea. Do we even know if there are, say, easy? Oh, you know what? There are genders to Yautja because there's been a reference to a mother character in movies, in Predator movies. So they do have genders. Yeah, I don't think we've seen one yet, though. I heard that Partisan came out. That's a good team. Steve Epting's an artist I really do enjoy. I feel like underrated. TKO puts out quality books. Dude, the anger of that character was like hilarious, and I also like totally got it. Like Ben Richards in The Running Man has got to be one of the angriest characters I have seen in ages. He's just angry. Not all the time. There are levels. He's not angry at everything, but he's a very angry character, and it's kind of entertaining. I would not be surprised if the comics have at least explored that comics. If the comics have explored the comics, I wouldn't be surprised. No, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, yeah. I watched the new Frankenstein movie, too. It's definitely getting a variety of opinions. I ultimately liked it. I don't think it's a perfect movie. However, it does adapt a bunch of ideas from Mary Shelley's book that I don't think we've ever seen before. And I liked it for that. I liked it for that quite a bit. And I am also, pretty into the bloody gothic aesthetic that Guillermo del Toro can lean into a lot of the time. I was into that as well. Yeah, I liked Frankenstein. I liked it. According to the Alien vs. Predator novel, the Yautja women are bigger and stronger than the men. That would make sense. That would give us, if I think that Predator Badlands is doing well from what I've seen. I would not be surprised if we got a direct sequel. And I would not be surprised if there was a threat of like a female Yautja that was bigger than what we've seen before. But I like this character Deck. He's just such an underdog, but it was an interesting way to represent the inherent contradictions in Predator culture. It's like, well, do they play fair or do they not? Are they high tech or just like mindless hunters? And it kind of rationalizes how some of that works. And how there could be characters that have their own conflicts with how things are done. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm definitely going to see it again as soon as I can. I thought that there was only one issue of the new Heavy Metal. Am I wrong? Is there more than that? That would be very warm. I do, spoiler, briefly wear my Santa gear for the latest Comic Tropes episode. And when I'm in my little room that I record in with my big bright lights turned on, and then I put on my Santa gear over my regular clothes, you heat up very quickly. It was still super fun to do, though. I just felt like there was a little... It wasn't bad effects, but there were a few times where I did feel it looked a little too digital. A few times where I was like, oh, I wish that they'd had time to sort of maybe either figure out the parallax or, maybe the whether we're doing like deep distance like clarity or we're finding like, a blur level for the background. I would have liked to have just seen something a little more convincing for a couple of the shots. It wasn't bad, but it was like my eye could still catch something. Badlands had a lot to say about a bunch of things. I was so impressed that it had several themes. Oh, have there been 3 issues? Jeez, I missed that. That it was up to 3. Then the secret ingredient, love. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. They're too independent to be either of those things. Wow, my cats, they're definitely not my elves because they're definitely not my helpers. Could I even chain them up to be little reindeer? Maybe unwillingly, maybe. Maybe. You're giving me something to think about there. Now they might be little elves for Chrissy. They will come running from anywhere in the house when she calls them. They do not do that for me, but if she calls them, they always come running. Boy, do they like her. And I love that. I love how much my cats love my wife. I'm like, I feed you at least as much. I clean your litter box. They're like, yeah, but thanks. Thanks, human. we really like our mom though. Oh, okay. Okay. It's cute. It is cute. Sometimes Chrissy and I talk about maybe getting one more kitty, just one, so that I could maybe potentially have a buddy. That would be nice. I would really like to have a kitty that I could bond with, that likes to hang out with me. You know, like if I did this show several years ago, my kitties, Milo and Chibi, they would have definitely just been here the whole time because they like to be near me. And they were fantastic cats. They were both so loving to me, and I really valuable having had them in my life. They were great. I love it. I love pets. I love animals. It's just something so cool and about different species being able to get along and love each other like that. Good. They should. I want to say thank you. Your show is inspiring, and right now I'm just drawing my own comic for fun. Godzilla meets Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Good for you. That's fun. Oh yeah. I cleaned it today, and they were just like, "Yep, that's your job. Thanks, human." I can't wait to meet your kitties someday, Jeansy. They look amazing. They really look special. I'm happy for you that you found a pair that are so cute and friendly and loving, and pretty, really pretty. And I know you took your time on those names. Good job. Today I found out that in the nearby town of Tacoma, Washington, in like 2013, they used to have a gym that was painted to look like a Pokemon gym. It was blue and it had a huge Pokemon symbol on the front. But then they took it down and built a YMCA where it used to be. I have no idea what the history behind it is. I just came across the photo and where it was, and I was like, what? Why would Tacoma have had that? I don't know. They just made a gym look like a Pokemon gym for some reason. In 2013 would have been well before they ever had that, game, that Pokemon Go game. So I don't know. Just a weird little element of that silly city's history. Don't think there's anything else I've had time to watch lately for movies or TV. Guess so. Thank you so much. The Pokemon gym was fucking nuts. The owner was just a big fan and thought it would drum up business. Oh, okay. Maybe it did. I don't know. Sure, I know Pokemon's been around. It's just not something I expected. I've definitely heard of it, but I haven't read it. That said, everything I've read by Kieran Gillen I've enjoyed. So sometimes I go, oh, I need to read more Kieran Gillen stuff because I've never been disappointed. It's true. If you read the Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers era, the Decepticons really destroyed poor old Tacoma and a lot of Seattle, just to be clear. They ran roughshod all over it. There's a word we don't use enough. Ran roughshod. The name's Ran roughshod. And there's one thing that I do know, and that is selling gasoline. Yes, the Roughshod family and I have been manufacturing our own gasoline for, nigh into 35 years now. Now, we can't guarantee a good driving experience with it, but what we can guarantee is that it's cheaper than any other gasoline you're going to buy. And you do get what you pay for. I'm Ran Roughshod, and my family sells gasoline. I don't know. No, we already had Chicago trashed. And plus, that's where Dan lives, so he doesn't want to destroy his own town. He wanted to destroy mine. Oh, that's so nice to hear. That's awesome. I would love to be able to rescue a little animal and keep it as my own. I haven't come across some creature in the wild like that in a long time. But then again, I kind of live in city areas and it's not as common for them to be found here. Although I say that, and my coworkers found an abandoned dog, all skin and bones in the back of the place where I work, and it's now with a foster family and getting taken care of. She was so skinny, but she was just a total sweetie pie and really pretty, and it's like clearly somebody had just abandoned her, and that's so weird to me. Like who abandons something like a 2-year-old dog, for instance? I don't get it. I don't know. But anyway, she's with a foster and she's getting taken care of. So yeah, that's nice. But I gotta admit, I'm totally when I hear about something like that. That said, I've got a darker story, but it's too dark. I can't even share it with you now that I think of it. It's too sad. Yep, never mind. Sorry, I even started to bring it up. The small gist of it, just so that you're not hanging, is that some people I know came across a dead animal. But I'm not going to go into any detail. It'll just make you angry or sad or something. And I that's not my goal. That's not my goal. My goal, to talk about comics. My goal, not to make you sad. Oh, God. I've abandoned my son. I've abandoned my child. What do you think? Yeah. Nice try acting, Daniel Day-Lewis. Let's just say we'll leave it to the pros from now on. My son! Yeah, that's true. What if they were zombie animals? Then that does change things up slightly. That does change things up slightly. Leave the acting to the pros, like Ran Roughshod, the guy who sells family-made gasoline. Cheapest gasoline you've ever seen? And that's our catchphrase. The cheapest gasoline you ever done seen. Will it work? No promises. Is it gasoline? Legally, yes. We fought and won our own court case. What we sell is legally gasoline. Will it work? Who knows? Maybe. In which case, good deal for you. Maybe not. In which case, whoopsie-daisy. Hi, my name's Whoops. Whoops-a-daisy. And I also sell gasoline. Guaranteed to be the most expensive gasoline you've ever paid for. However, I will say this. It is so powerful, it may actually combust without even going through a piston. But if you get it into your tank, I can guarantee you that a few drops will get you miles. That blast will send you rocketing. Well, my name isn't Whoops-a-daisy. And you should also listen to me, Poop Browner. I'm a farmer. And I'll tell you this, I don't know much about poops. That's just the name that my family gave me. What I do know is real estate. And I want to sell you some. I promise to work on your behalf to get you the best deal out there. Yes, my name is Poop Browner. Yes, I agree. It's a very silly name. Not the kind of name that inspires a lot of trust, if I'm honest. But I will tell you this. I've been studying real estate for over 20 years. I have given people some of the best deals in town. Everybody will tell you, Poop Browner knows real estate, and he's honest, and he's good. They'll all tell you that, I promise. Well, my name isn't Poop Browner. I'm sorry my parents gave me such a ridiculous name, but I do know real estate. That is one thing I do know. Yes, it's a very unfortunate name. I am not at all proud of it, but I am proud of my real estate knowledge, which I'm going to use for you. It's going to be for your behalf. I promise you're going to get some great deals on land. Yeah, I think that Daniel Day-Lewis will come back from retirement again if he's ever offered the role of Paste Pot Pete in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Tell us. Yes, well, I've played a lot of interesting characters, haven't I? But the one that I haven't played that fascinated me the most is, how do you play a villain that's confident in his use of glue as a power? It's not much of a power. I'm the number 2 listing realtor on the market, but I'll tell you this. Guess who's number 1? Pissy Pants. And I'll tell you, he knows a thing or two about real estate too. But I'm not too far behind. There's a reason I'm number 2. Because piss is really good. Also an unfortunate name. No relation. Why would you even think that? Pissy Pants doesn't sound anything like Browner. I'm Poop Browner. He's Pissy Pants. I'm tired of people thinking that we work together. It's just a weird coincidence. Look, maybe there's something deeper that I don't understand. Maybe when you're given a name that sounds like it has something to do with an unpleasant bodily function, you just decide to go into real estate. I couldn't tell you. That's the kind of thing a psychologist would figure out. I'm not a psychologist, folks. I'm a realtor, and I'm a real realtor that's going to help you get a great price on the land that you want, where you want. And I'm going to do it fast, and I'm going to do it efficient. My name's Poop Browner, and I know real estate. Paid for by the committee to elect Poop Browner city councilman. Sure, you may be asking, why does Poop Browner want to be a city councilman when he's such a successful realtor? Well, it's because of that success. I know this community. I've helped this community get the housing and the land they want, and I know its potential. I know that there's a farm out there that can harvest the best poop in town. Now, you might think, oh, it's because your name's Poop Browner. Not so fast. That ain't the reason. The reason is because I know that the land can produce the best vegetation for the cows, which can in turn poop. All right, I'm stopping. I don't have a good voice for Skeet Ulrich, or I'd do it. Oh, that poor kid. Shits, huh? Yikes. That sounds like a tough one to live with for a name. That sounds a little tricky. By the way, I know that was an annoying voice and very silly, but just so you know, that's also exactly what the Predator sounds like in the new movie. That's a perfect impression. That's why I'm doing it. And, it's good for you to know that before you go to see the movie, because now you can make an informed decision of is that the kind of voice I could listen to for about 2 hours? I'm pretty sure anyone can do some sort of Christopher Walken. Everybody can do certain impressions, right? I mean, everybody has a Christopher Walken or an Arnold Schwarzenegger. These days, probably everybody has a Trump. Anybody that does voices will have like a preacher character. I don't know. I'd love to see Christopher Walken host SNL at least one more time. Wonder if he'd be up for something like that. He's really funny. Somebody go ask him. Anybody hanging out with Chris Walken lately? All right. I can see the audience is getting sleepy pie. I don't blame them. I definitely went a while with this one. I had a lot of fun chatting with everybody about comics. I'm excited for, let's see, I'm trying to think. What are some of the big comics coming up next week? Think, Christopher. Let me see if I have a list of what's coming out next week. I don't know if it's up yet, the places that I check. Oh, of course. This week is Batman Deadpool. So that's the big one. Batman Deadpool. Dan Moore, Grant Morrison. What else? Capes. Capes returns. Now that's technically a reprint for now. Well, no, excuse me, it's not. Capes is by Robert Kirkman and Mark Engler, and Mark redid a lot of the art, pretty much all of it. So that is sort of a new version of Capes. And then after they redo the original miniseries, it's going to continue. So that's cool. So I'm going to get Capes. I'm going to get Batman Deadpool. What else would be worth picking up? People are saying Captain America is pretty good. I don't think I'm excited. Exquisite Corpses and Energon Universe G.I. Joe. Oh, Hector Plasm issue 2 comes out. Cool. Hector Plasm. Hunt Bigfoot. What is it? It's not called Hunt the Bigfoot? Hunt. I gotta zoom in on this image. Why is this not zooming in? Yeah, Hunt the Bigfoot. Okay, sorry. I'll get that. I'll get that for sure. Hector Plasm, Hunt the Bigfoot. There's a new Minor Threats. I'm behind on Minor Threats. People say New Gods is good, but I haven't read that. Oh, the final issue of One World Under Doom. I've been enjoying that miniseries, to be honest, so I'll get the final issue of One World Under Doom. The next issue of Powers 25 comes out. Red Book comes out. That's the James Tynion, Michael Avon Oeming look at UFO encounters from the Soviet Union. So that's pretty cool. Sacrificers is back. Rick Remender, Max Fiumura. Issue 2 of The Last Starship. That's been that first issue of that book. That was the first Star Trek I've read in a while in comic book form that I really liked. Oh, the next issue of Ultimates. Geez, this is going to be a big week because I love the Ultimates. Regular Wonder Woman by Tom King. I'll get that. So what's that put me at? 1, 2. Oh, I might get Twilight Zone too. That's kind of fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Jesus, that's a lot already. 12, 13. I'm going to have to be more ruthless. I can't get 13 books. I can't get 13 books. Jesus. I don't know what I'll cut yet. We'll find out next week, right? We'll see what I got. Hey, I had a great time chatting with everybody. Thank you so much. If you didn't already, please hit like and subscribe. If you're watching this after it was live, just so you know, I always have chapters in the description so that you can jump around. But I had a great time chatting with everybody about comics this week. Let's see. News from the Fallout is good. Okay, I should do that. Sean Murphy has a bit in the Batman Deadpool crossover. I'll definitely pick that up. I just look at my local comic shop. They put out like images of everything they ordered, which is just about everything. Yes. Oeming and Remender, love them. That's cool. It is just adding up too much. I need to cut. I need to cut more. But all right. I had a great time. Everybody, tell you what, let's end with a double salute. Boom. And if you haven't seen it already, there is a new episode of Comic Tropes up. And with that said, I'm going to put chapters in this and get right to work on the next Comic Tropes. See you next week, everybody. Keep reading comics. Bye.